Then I went to Douluo. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151, Soul Fusion Technique, Ice and Snow Flying. As if knowing what she was thinking, Tang Liu released a faint blue-black light at the same time as she released the Ice Soul skill again. This was the manifestation of the Hyaolin force field. Because of the Hyaolin force field, Tang Liu was not frozen, and then he quickly raised his hand to grab the two delicate hands that were attacking him. Just when Shui Binger and the two agile attack spirit masters were feeling uneasy, Tang Liu just smiled at the two agile attack spirit masters who were attacking him, and then used the Hyaolin mark on the two people to use Hyaolin teleport to teleport them back to Shui Binger's side. When Shui Binger and the other agile attack spirit master found themselves next to Shui Binger again, they were completely confused. The first thing they thought in their minds at this time was, how did that come back? The second thing was, Tang Liu didn't attack us directly? Not only did they feel confused, Shui Binger was even more so. She really couldn't understand why Tang Liu didn't attack Shui Yuer and the other two, but teleported them back in a friendly way. What on earth was he thinking? Since they have the ability to teleport, why not teleport Shui Yuer and the others directly outside the competition arena and let them be eliminated? Teleporting them back, do you not want Shrek to win too easily? Shui Binger looked in the direction of Tang Liu with a puzzled look on her face, but then she was shocked to find that Tang Liu, who had been standing there, had disappeared. Shui Binger felt that a string in her mind was instantly tightened. As everyone knows, Tang Liu also has the ability to teleport, so now that he has disappeared, it is very likely that he is here to attack them. So Shui Binger immediately ordered, everyone pay attention to your surroundings, Tang Liu may appear at any time and attack us. The position of the Xianshu students immediately turned to the one at the back of them, who had been dancing non-stop since the beginning of the game. The student named Zhu moved closer, and her position actually had some meaning of protecting her. It was at this time that Tang San and the others also broke the ice seal on their bodies. Then, this time, before Shui Binger could react, most of her attention was on Tang Liu, who is now nowhere to be found. Tang San immediately used his control soul skills to restrict the people of Xianshu Academy. Shui Binger could instantly use her first soul skill, and so could he. Moreover, he could instantly use his fourth soul skill on multiple targets at the same time, in addition to his first soul skill. The entanglement and the blue-silver cage immediately bound the 6 people in Xianshu, except the Soul Master standing at the end. The reason why Zhu was not bound was because Shui Binger also reacted in time and launched the ice seal on him again. So Tang San immediately used the blue-silver cage on himself, and the ice seal froze the blue-silver cage. After that, Tang San took back the blue-silver cage and broke Shui Binger's ice seal. However, due to such a delay, Tang San was unable to let the entanglement hit Zhu, but the blue-silver cage did restrict Zhu. But the space in the blue-silver cage was still enough for Zhu to dance inside. Shui Binger was secretly relieved. If Zhu's dance was interrupted, then all the preparations they had made since the beginning of the game would be wasted. They could just admit defeat and there was no need to continue. However, what puzzled Shui Binger was that Tang Liu, whom she had been on guard against, had not yet appeared. What was going on? Where had Tang Liu gone? If Tang Liu had been lying low like this, it would undoubtedly cause them great psychological pressure. They were afraid that he would suddenly jump out when they were not paying attention, and then take them all out by surprise. Therefore, after this game, they must be highly focused. While facing the attacks of other Shrek members, they must also be on guard against Tang Liu in the dark to prevent him from suddenly shooting arrows at them. It was already a very difficult game, and now the difficulty has soared. Shui Binger couldn't help but smile bitterly, and then a little anger was faintly born in her heart. Because Tang Liu seemed to treat the game as a game. Although they had little chance of winning this match, it was not a reason for him to disrespect his opponent. In the arena, showing all his strength to face the opponent was the most basic respect for the opponent. Although he knew that if Tang Liu went all out, Xianshu might be eliminated immediately at the beginning of the match, but he was just so angry. It just so happened that Zhu was almost ready. Tang Liu was hiding somewhere and would not show up, so she would use a full map attack to force him to show up, and then even if she lost the match, she would not care. Thinking of this, She immediately moved towards Zhu behind her. Seeing this, Tang San on the opposite side immediately understood what they wanted to do, so he immediately used the fastest blue-silver prison on the people of Xianshu, and then immediately said to Liu Bei, "It's a martial soul fusion skill, stop them." Liu Bei reflexively launched his fourth soul skill, the White Tiger Meteor Shower, towards the people of Xianshu Academy. As a white light shot up into the sky, countless meteors fell rapidly towards the 7 people of Xianshu. But too late, Shui Binger said, and then she and Zhu Wu's figures disappeared in a blue-white light at the same time. As the blue light bloomed, Liu Bei's White Tiger Meteor Shower also fell, but in the end it only blew away the 2 agile attack spirit masters of Xianshu who were restricted by the blue-silver cage, and then the remaining meteors all melted in the strong blue light. A sharp chill suddenly bloomed on the entire competition stage. The next moment, ice and snow were raging on the entire competition stage. Tornado-shaped snowflakes kept falling from the dazzling blue light in the sky, like a downpour. But the snowflakes were not as gentle as rain. Instead, each one contained a terrifying cutting force and a chill that could directly freeze people. It was the martial soul fusion skill of Shui Binger and Zhu Wu, the drifting of ice and snow. At the moment when the snow and ice fell, Tang San immediately used his blue-silver cage to wrap around his teammates layer by layer to help them defend against the snowflakes. In addition, he has become more and more adept at controlling distraction recently, so he actually resisted the martial soul fusion skills of the 2 soul masters. However, although the blue-silver grass can resist the attack of snowflakes, it cannot resist the unbearable coldness spreading throughout the entire arena. If this continues for a long time, even if he can finally hold on until Shui Binger and Zhu Wu run out of soul power and have turned the martial soul fusion skills, their entire team will be frostbitten by the coldness and lose their combat ability. So he immediately shouted, "Xiao Liu!" Everyone in Shrek looked at the familiar, transparent crystal-like blue and gold vines quietly climbing up their arms. The next moment, the unbearable coldness disappeared. The cold wind blew on his body and became like a cool breeze in summer. Fortunately, the author survived successfully, Chapter 152 Twins. The other people in Shrek breathed a sigh of relief. But Tang San was not like that. Because Tang Liu's void spirit protection was time-limited. So this meant that he had to do his best to maintain the defense of the blue-silver grass and not let his companions be hurt by the ice and snow. But in the next moment, he was suddenly surprised to find that the snowflakes that were originally falling at a very fast speed began to quickly reverse and return to the dazzling blue light in the air. Then in the next moment, a loud phoenix cry came from the light. Then, a phoenix with a nice blue body and an extremely beautiful body appeared above the competition stage. Tang San finally knew what Shui Binger's martial spirit was. It was the top east martial spirit, the Ice Phoenix. However, something that surprised Tang San even more happened at this moment. The snowflakes that had not yet returned to the Ice Phoenix suddenly slowed down their extremely fast flying speed, and then almost stopped. Only by looking carefully could you find the extremely slow-moving trajectory of those snowflakes. At the same time, the Ice Phoenix in the air also stopped completely after flapping its wings slowly several times. Just when Tang San was puzzled, a voice suddenly sounded from beside him. "Do you realize it?" Tang San turned his head and found that it was Tang Liu standing beside him. Tang Liu was also looking at him. Tang San was silent for a while, and then a purple light flashed in his eyes. Then Tang Liu disappeared in front of Tang San. Then the speed of the snowflakes returned to normal. But only a small part. In the distance, the snowflakes were still almost still. It was like a person who had been looking at a mural, and suddenly a window was opened on the wall. In the still scene, a vivid and moving scene broke into the sight. "Xiao Liu, is this your illusion?" Tang San then stopped using the purple demon eye, and Tang Liu appeared in front of him again. Tang Liu nodded, "Yes, because I have something to tell you quickly. I can only use the illusion. Why can't my purple demon eye break your illusion?" Tang San asked. Tang Liu smiled, "Our mental powers are too different, brother. Your purple demon eye can see through my illusion, but it is not immune to its effects. You will still be affected by the illusion." Tang San thought, "So this is why the things I see now are slower." Tang Liu nodded, "Some things that are difficult to do in reality are very easy in illusions. For example, talking to you for a whole day in an instant." Tang San couldn't help but smile. "Forget it, talking for a whole day, not only you, I can't stand it." Of course, Tang Liu also smiled. Then he looked directly into Tang San's eyes and said, "So now, Can you answer my previous question, brother? The smile on Tang San's face slowly faded. He turned his head and stopped looking at Tang Liu. Tang Liu didn't urge him, just stood aside and waited quietly. After waiting for an unknown amount of time, Tang San finally answered in a low voice. Yes, Tang Liu said calmly. Then what do you think? Tang San's voice was still low. Both are controlled type spirit masters. She has the top level spirit ice phoenix, while mine is just a useless spirit blue silver grass. Even though I absorbed the 10,000-year spirit ring, I still lost in the battle with her, because the blue silver grass is too weak. Even if the blue silver grass has absorbed the 10,000-year spirit ring, it still cannot compare with the top level ice phoenix. He looked at Tang Liu again. Father and teacher, are they both wrong? Shouldn't I give up the blue silver grass and switch to the clear sky hammer? Tang Liu did not answer immediately, but looked at Tang San quietly, and finally sighed and said, Brother, do you know why Dad and Uncle don't let you add spirit rings to the clear sky hammer? Tang San shook his head. Tang Liu continued, think about it, when you cultivate the blue silver grass to the 9th ring, how many years of spirit rings can you bear by then? Tang San was stunned. The minimum is 10,000 years, Tang Liu said. Then, when you add spirit rings to the clear sky hammer, which spirit ring can you start to absorb? Tang San immediately reacted, 10,000 years, and, all 10,000 years. Tang Liu took over the rest of his words, a clear sky hammer with all 10,000-year spirit rings, how powerful will it be then? So this is the purpose of father and teacher, yes, to create a strongest clear sky hammer with all 10,000-year spirit rings, but, my blue silver grass, Tang Liu immediately stopped him from continuing, are you still worried about your blue silver grass martial spirit? Tang San didn't say anything, which was equivalent to acquiescence. Tang Liu pulled up his right hand and made him turn his palm upward. Release your blue silver grass. Tang San did so, and the next moment, under the power of the 10,000-year spirit ring, the blue silver grass that had turned completely black slowly emerged from his palm, and then shook gently. Tang Liu finally raised his left hand, and similarly, the blue-gold transparent virtual spirit blue silver emperor also emerged from his palm. We are two brothers, with the same blood. Tang Liu looked up into Tang San's eyes. We both have the same clear sky hammer. But why is yours the blue silver grass, while mine is the blue silver emperor? Why is yours just a useless martial spirit, while mine is a top-level martial spirit? Tang San did not speak. You think it's because my martial spirit has mutated, or because of the influence of my third martial spirit, right? Tang San was silent for a while, and finally nodded. Tang Liu shook his head, but that's not the case. We have the same clear sky hammer, so naturally we have the same blue silver grass. As soon as he finished speaking, the two blue-silver grasses suddenly seemed to feel the pull of each other, so the next moment, they began to grow rapidly in the palms of the two people's hands, and then intertwined and entangled above their heads. The blue-gold vines and the black vines were woven together, but there was no sense of disobedience. The reason why yours is still blue-silver grass and mine is called blue-silver emperor has nothing to do with the mutation of the martial soul. It's just because yours hasn't awakened yet. Tang San was slightly stunned and said, you mean, mine is actually blue silver emperor as well? Tang Liu couldn't deny it and didn't answer him directly. Besides, do you really think your blue silver grass is just a simple useless martial soul? Do you know that the condition for the birth of twin martial souls is, first of all, that both parents have to be soul masters, and the quality of both martial souls has to be extremely close. Think about it. The clear sky hammer is a top-level martial soul. So could it be an ordinary blue-silver grass that can become your martial soul at the same time? Tang San suddenly felt dazed. Chapter 153 Soul Curse. Yes, he and Zai Liu both have the same clear sky hammer, so why are their blue-silver grass different? It can only be said that their blue-silver grass is actually the same, but Zai Liu's blue-silver grass has undergone some changes, or it has just awakened its true nature. Moreover, if it is really as Zai Liu said, the condition for the birth of twin martial spirits is that the martial spirits of both parents are of similar quality, then his blue-silver grass must not be as weak as it looks. He and Zai Liu's clear sky hammer came from Tang Hao, their father. Then what about blue-silver grass? Did it come from their mother? However, before he could think deeply, Tang Liu's voice rang again, interrupting his thoughts. We can think about these things slowly when we go back. Now, we should end this game first. Tang Liu turned around, looking through the blue-silver grass in front of him and looking at the ice phoenix in the air. Tang San said, Everyone's spirit power is basically exhausted now, so, just leave everything to me. But Shui Binger's last attack contains the energy of the entire martial soul fusion skill. Even if your void spirit guard can offset most of the power, it is still possible to get hurt. Otherwise, I and everyone else will go down first, so as not to disturb you and distract you. No need. Tang Liu smiled. I have a way. Tang San thought about the spirit skills Tang Liu currently possessed, but still couldn't figure out where Tang Liu's confidence came from. Seeing that he looked like he was thinking hard, Tang Liu couldn't help laughing. I am an auxiliary spirit master. Tang San was a little confused and didn't understand why he brought this up. Tang Liu continued, my uncle once told me that auxiliary spirit masters usually need to use spirit spells to release their spirit skills. For example, Oscar and Rong. Because the spirit spell not only allows auxiliary spirit masters to release their spirit skills faster, but also has a certain amplification effect on their spirit skills. Some auxiliary spirit masters cannot use their spirit skills without reciting the spirit spell, or they will unconsciously recite the spirit spell when using their spirit skills, or they must use the spirit spell to use their spirit skills. Oscar is such an example, but yes, I didn't need the spirit spell to release my spirit skills from the beginning. So my uncle told me that I might be the first exception in the spirit master world since then. After all, I am also the first 3-life martial spirit in history. But then I thought about it. Since I am an auxiliary spirit master, I should also have my own spirit spell. It's just that the effect of my soul spell may be different from that of other auxiliary spirit masters. Then, did you really find your own soul spell? Tang Liu smiled slightly. Other auxiliary spirit masters recite soul spells to release their own spirit skills. And mine is for evolution. As soon as the voice fell, Tang Liu in front of him disappeared, and everything around him that was almost still returned to its original state. Then the next moment, Tang Liu's figure appeared again. But this time he appeared directly outside his blue-silver grass defense, and it was the real Tang Liu. He stood alone in the swirling snow and looked up at the huge ice phoenix. Then, a loud phoenix cry sounded, and then the huge ice phoenix rushed towards them with terrifying energy fluctuations. Despite such a momentum, Tang Liu still did not show any panic. He just slowly raised his left hand in front of him, as if he gently grabbed a handful of breeze, and then let it go in front of his eyes. At the same time, he muttered softly in his mouth. It was like a whisper to himself, and like he was whispering to someone. The wind caresses the blue-silver sound. Then, his left hand fell to his side again. Have you ever heard it, Su Ling? The virtual blue-silver emperor emerged from the palm of his hand at this time. As 4 soul rings, 1 yellow, 1 purple and 2 black, slowly rose from the soles of his feet. He spoke again. He said, purification. The black soul ring ranked last was immediately put on the virtual blue-silver emperor in the palm of his left hand, and then the next moment, an indescribable light flashed. All the people watching the field felt at the same time that their eyes seemed to be blurred, and their entire vision was occupied by a mysterious light. But in the blur, they seemed to see a shadow in this light. It seemed to be a small grass. There seemed to be a figure next to it. Then the next moment, the people whose vision recovered were surprised to find that the huge ice phoenix on the field had disappeared. Tang Liu looked at Shui Binger and Zhu Wu, who were weak in supporting each other, and slowly raised the corners of his lips. He turned around and looked, and saw the Shrek people who had lost the protection of the blue-silver grass at some point, and smiled. Tang San looked at Tang Liu in surprise, and was about to say something, but was stopped by his eyes. Tang Liu turned around again and looked at Xianshu College. Do we still want to compete? Shui Binger shook her head. We lost. Tang Liu then looked at the referee. The referee announced that Shrek Academy had won. The audience once again cheered like at tsunami. Ethereal purification. Feel the breath of the ethereal, turn into light, and purify everything it reaches. Clear all soul skills immediately. The preliminaries of this year's All-Continent Advanced Soul Master Academy Fighting Soul Competition came to an end. On the day the competition ended, all participating academies were once again gathered at the Xianda Great Fighting Soul Arena, where Emperor Ziyar personally commended the 5 qualified teams and awarded each of the 5 qualified teams 10,000 gold soul coins. At the same time, the captains and vice-captains of the 5 teams were awarded the title of Viscount, and the rest of the team members were awarded the title of Baron. After that, there will be a month of rest time, and then the 5 qualified teams will go to the Royal Hunting Ground to compete in the promotion match with the qualified teams from the various affiliated kingdoms of the entire Xiandao Empire. Just as the 5 teams returned to their respective academies to rest, Saris looked at the 2 files that he had instructed his subordinates to bring back from Notting City in advance. 14 years old, level 41. Spirit Blue Silver Grass, innate full spirit power, 14 years old, level 41. Spirit Blue Silver Grass, also innate full spirit power. No matter how many times he saw it, Salas still found it hard to believe his eyes. He then took out 3 more files from a spirit guide in his office that was like a safe. But without exception, the 3 people also reached the soul sect at the age of 15. Moreover, one of them obtained a 10,000-year spirit ring at level 40, and the other one even had a 10,000-year spirit ring at level 30. He immediately wrote a letter and wrote the 4 words, the Pope's personal letter, on the seal. Chapter 154. Master, feeling that life has reached its peak. After the preliminaries, Tang San still chose to retreat for a while. Although Tang Liu's words had made him no longer entangled in his blue-silver grass problem. But he still had to spend some time to think about the future development direction of his blue-silver grass, otherwise when he met a spirit master like Shui Binger, he would only be restrained again. However, on the first day of retreat, Tang San was visited by Douluo, who suddenly returned. Although Tang San was not in a trance like in the original book, Douluo still told him in more detail about the secrets of the twin martial spirits. Naturally, Tang San became more thorough and clearer about his future development direction. Perhaps this is also the origin of the fact that every student who enters the inner courtyard of Shrek Academy in the future needs to enter the hundreds of rooms at the bottom of the Sea God Pavilion for deep meditation. While Tang San was in retreat, the other Shrek students were not idle either, and were once again tormented by the master. Of course, it was definitely not a real torment, but just a special training for the Shrek students by the master for the subsequent promotion games and finals. The content of this special training is also very simple, that is, fighting. It's just fighting with Liu Erlong. Among the 3 combat-type soul saints that Shrek now has, Liu Erlong's soul power is not the highest, and even the combat powers are a line lower than that of Flanders and Zhao Wuji. But even Flanders and Zhao Wuji are not willing to confront Liu Erlong head-on. It's because Liu Erlong's fighting style is too brutal. The killing Horn in the Golden Iron Triangle was not called for nothing. Therefore, the pressure that Shrek people felt when facing Liu Erlong was naturally the strongest. And the master's goal is to let them burst out their potential in this oppression. Originally, Tang Liu was also in this special training, but in the first special training, the master found that Tang Liu and Liu Erlong were both letting each other go, and when others were in trouble, he kicked Tang Liu out of the special training team. So the next few days became a one-sided abuse of other Shrek students. But Tang Liu's days of being a lazy fish didn't last too long, because later the master simply added Flanders and Zhao Wuji to the special training team, and let them and Liu Erlong deal with the students together. As a result, he found that Tang Liu and Liu Erlong were letting the students go again, and the other students were still being abused. So Tang Liu, Flanders, and Zhao Wuji were kicked out of the team. But the master still didn't plan to let Tang Liu continue to be a lazy fish, so he let him fight Zhao Wuji alone, and Zhao Wuji lost. The master didn't believe in evil, so he added Flanders. So Tang Liu wasted some effort, and the duo of Flanders and Zhao Wuji lost. The master began to be a little dissatisfied, so he added Liu Erlong. As a result, Tang Liu wasted some effort again, Flanders and Zhao Wuji were beaten, and Liu Erlong was intact and won the competition with just a brain collapse. Master, Flanders, Zhao Wuji, Liu Erlong laughed heartily. Good nephew, Aunt loves you for a reason. Let's go today, Aunt will treat you to a big meal. Tang Liu immediately got up from the ground with a smile, and followed Liu Erlong happily. The master looked at the backs of the 2 people leaving, and wanted to extend an urging hand. But finally gave up. However, he could see that Tang Liu's current strength was definitely beyond the level that a normal Soul King should have. Otherwise, 2 Soul Saints would not be able to defeat him together. Of course, this is just an ordinary competition after all, and Flanders and Zhao Wuji still have many desperate means that they have not used. But Tang Liu also reserved a lot. So far, when Tang Liu competed with Flanders and Zhao Wuji, he only used the 4 soul skills of the Void Blue Silver Emperor, as well as the Heaolin Teleportation and Heaolin Force Field, and at most the Heaolin Phaseless, which is considered a passive skill. His Psychedelic Gaze and Soul Spell Upgrade soul skills were not used. Not to mention the soul skills upgraded by the Soul Spell, The psychedelic gaze alone would probably make Zhao Wuji and Flanders lose immediately. After all, Tang Liu's mental power offline is equivalent to the Soul Douluo level, not to mention crushing. It is no problem for him to win over Flanders and Zhao Wuji at the Soul Saint level. Therefore, after discovering that his special training had no effect on Tang Liu, the master no longer cared about him. However, he knew that Douluo had returned now, and he also thought about letting Douluo fight Tang Liu to see if he could squeeze out Tang Liu's potential. But he was a little worried that Douluo's poison would hurt Tang Liu. Even if Douluo could detoxify, there would still be some hidden dangers. So after thinking about it, he told Douluo his thoughts. He really didn't mean anything else, he was just a little jealous when he saw Liu Erlong taking Tang Liu out shopping every day after special training, and not taking him. So, as long as Tang Liu was dragged by Douluo, he could take Liu Erlong out on a date without any light bulbs around him, right? Doing things that lovers should do, shopping, eating. He really didn't mean anything else, but he had missed Liu Erlong's time for so many years, so now he had to make up for it, right? Really not. Then Douluo really agreed, which made the master very excited for a while. Thinking about life without light bulbs in the future, it was really wonderful. But the master just took Liu Erlong out for one day, and when he came back, he saw Douluo with a dark face and told him, "I can't take care of Tang Liu's little rabbit, you can give it to someone else, master." He was regretful and surprised. It was a pity that he couldn't date Liu Erlong alone, and the surprise was that Tang Liu really defeated a titled Douluo. But when he asked, Douluo just shook his head, nodded, and didn't say much, which made the master a little confused. Then, Tang San came out of retreat. Master was a little happy and added Tang San to the special training team. Then, something happened that made him even happier. Tang Liu did not show up at today's special training. Master asked Tang San and learned that Tang Liu was in retreat, saying that he was preparing to break through to level 60. So Master's happiness doubled. If Tang Liu really succeeded in breaking through level 60, as long as he got another spirit ring, he would witness the birth of the first 14-year-old spirit emperor in history. So he and Liu Erlong did not show up at the special training on the second day and went out for a good walk. So Zhao Wuji had no choice but to temporarily replace Liu Erlong as the sparring partner of the Shrek 7 Devils. Chapter 155 Tang Liu, my legs are not actually short, but my height limits them. But is Tang Liu really preparing to break through to level 60? Well, he is about to break through, but he definitely has no intention of retreating. After fusing the 2 dragon wing external soul bones, as time goes by, his degree of fusion with the 2 external soul bones becomes higher and higher, so his body is gradually strengthened. The meridians become stronger, and the time he can last when enduring the impact of the soul power in his body becomes longer and longer. Naturally, his soul power level also improves by leaps and bounds. However, the real situation when fighting Douluo that day was actually like this. Douluo, wow, Tang Liu, I was restricted by your Haolin mark and didn't dare to fight you before. Now if you have the guts, don't use the Haolin mark and let me beat you up. Tang Yushin, who suddenly appeared, said in a gloomy voice, who do you want to beat, Douluo? Of course it's that little bastard Tang Liu. Ah, phew, your majesty how? Haoshin, Tang said in a gloomy voice, he is a little bastard, then what am I? Douluo gradually panicked and waved his hands frantically. Oh no, I didn't say anything. Tang Liu, who had long felt someone approaching through the Haolin mark, Tang Hao cast a helpless and loving glance at Tang Liu, who was laughing so hard that tears appeared in the corners of his eyes. He looked at the panicked Douluo and said, I have something to say to him alone. Douluo understood, your majesty, I'll leave now. So Douluo quickly disappeared. Only Tang Liu and Tang Hao were left in the woods of Shrek Academy. Tang Liu ran over and gave his old father a hug first, and his father's face, which had been somewhat cold and hard, softened immediately. He rubbed Tang Liu's textured blue hair with a bit of awkward movements, and said, let's have a fight. Tang Liu immediately looked at him warily. You don't want to commit domestic violence, do you? Tang Hao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Master's method is very good, and actual combat is indeed the fastest way to improve your strength. It seems that Soul Saint can no longer bring you much pressure, so why not let me, a titled Douluo, try it with you? Tang Liu, you can also let Douluo come, his poison is a bit troublesome. Tang Hao paused for a long time, and finally squeezed out such a sentence. Tang Liu was puzzled, but I am naturally immune to all attributes, Tang Hao. His face darkened a little, and he turned around immediately. Then I will go and call him back now. Tang Liu immediately smiled and held him back. I won't fight him. This father who is too proud and not good at expressing himself is really a bit stubborn, but you are not allowed to use your martial soul. If he fights Douluo, Tang Liu can deal with Douluo for a long time with the innate immunity of the virtual blue-silver emperor and the recovery of Haolin, but he can't win at present. But if he fights Tang Hao, and Tang Hao has to release his martial soul, Tang Liu calculated in his mind. Well, it's probably half faster than when fighting Douluo. First of all, this is his biological father, and he is seriously injured. He can't do it. And his current attack power may not even break Tang Hao's defense. It's possible to switch directly to Haolin magic martial soul, but it can't withstand the fast speed of mana consumption. Psychedelic gaze? Sorry, the title Douluo's spiritual power is definitely better than his. If he dares to use it, he can only wait for the backlash. So Tang Hao should not use his martial soul. He doesn't want to be abused unilaterally. Tang Hao's face finally looked better and nodded. Okay, I won't use my martial soul. But you can only use the clear sky hammer, Tang Liu, he said. No, Dad, my hammer doesn't have any soul rings. I know, Tang Hao said calmly, so you can use the chaos cape, but don't talk nonsense. Start. Tang Hao's figure instantly turned into a residual image, and his copper cast and iron cast palm immediately pinched Tang Liu's shoulder. Tang Liu's reaction speed was not slow. He stepped in the ghost shadow and leaned back at the same time. He supported himself with one hand and turned over, and dodged before Tang Hao's hand arrived. But as soon as he stood up, he felt his shoulder being pinched. He looked up and saw Tang Hao standing in front of him. Tang Hao looked down at him. Don't be too fancy in your fighting style. Simple and direct is the most effective. It seems that he is not used to Tang Liu's backflips and front flips during the competition. Tang Liu was a little dissatisfied. That's because you are faster than me, Tang Hao. Then let's do it again. So Tang Liu immediately broke free from Tang Hao's palm, jumped up, and tried to flip directly from Tang Hao's head to behind him. But just as he reached Tang Hao's head, Tang Hao grabbed him and spun him in the air with his hands, and finally put him steadily on the ground. Tang Liu, who was suddenly turned 180 degrees with his belly button as the center, was still a little confused after landing. He looked at Tang Hao's lips with a faint smile, still dissatisfied. No, it's because you are taller than me. Tang Hao let him go. Then let's do it again. Tang Liu started to move again, but this time he just used the ghost shadow to retreat. As a result, before he ran far, Tang Hao just took 2 steps and caught up with him again. Tang Liu was locked in the throat this time. He slapped Tang Hao's forearm hard. Your legs are longer than mine. You cheated. Cut off the part below your knees before you chased me, Tang Hao laughed. So today Tang Hao fully let Tang Liu realize what the advantage of height and long legs is, and the truth that your father is still your father. After the training, Tang Liu was dissatisfied. When I grow up, my legs will definitely be longer than yours. Tang Hao ignored him. I will train you like this for this month. When you can defeat me with a clear sky hammer, or can dodge my attacks for more than half an hour, it will be over. If you can't do it, he paused, you don't have to participate in this competition. After saying that, he didn't give Tang Liu a chance to refute, and his figure flew high into the sky at a high speed. Soon he disappeared, leaving Tang Liu standing there looking at the direction he disappeared in disbelief. He jumped up. That hammer is so heavy, and I can't lift it. How can I fight you? He was angry and finally decided to go back to the dormitory to have a good sleep. He won't get up until he's exhausted. Life always has its own way of beating you up when you're drifting, letting you know that there's actually a marionette trench under your feet when you're at your lowest point, and pushing you down again when you finally get up, leaving you feeling down and down. In short, in this month, the beating that belonged to the Shrek 7 Devils was Liu Erlong, and the marionette trench that belonged to Tang Liu was Tang Hao. However, after being down and down all the time, the Shrek 7 Devils finally got up once. With Tang San's calculations, the variant soul skill of the 10,000-year soul skill, the blue silver stab, and everyone's cooperation, they successfully defeated Liu Erlong once. Compared with them, Tang Liu was still down and down, with no sign of getting up. There was no way. His height really limited his leg length, so he couldn't outrun his father at all. Seeing that a month was about to end, he only lasted for 40 minutes at most, and then reached a bottleneck. What can I do? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, It means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156, The Promotional Round begins. Of course, don't be timid, just go for it. So on the last day of the 1-month deadline, Tang Liu finally stopped avoiding attacks and chose to use the Clear Sky Hammer to attack. After all, Tang Hao didn't allow him to use the other two martial spirits, so if he just relied on the Ghost Shadow, it would be difficult for him to avoid Tang Hao's attack. First of all, the speed is not at the same level. Then fight, anyway, he has given up for a month, and thought Tang Hao was just talking. But Tang Hao was very serious. If Tang Liu really couldn't meet his requirements, then Tang Liu would not want to participate in this competition. So Tang Liu successfully used his Clear Sky Hammer that he couldn't lift to give Tang Hao a surprise. Xia. The promotion stage of the elite competition of advanced soul masters of the continent is about to open. All the teams that qualified in the preliminaries of the entire Xiandao Empire gathered in the military camp of the Royal Hunting Ground to participate in the promotion competition in the individual battle mode. Among them, the 5 teams that qualified in Xiandao City were personally greeted by the Xiandao Royal Knights, who took the 5 participating teams to their respective rest areas. After arriving at the destination, Flanders immediately arranged a resting camp for everyone. Then, everyone saw Ning Fengzi and Zhu King who came to visit. Tang San was the first to see the two, so he was the first to greet them. "Uncle Ning, Your Highness, why are you here?" Ning Fengzi smiled. "Nothing special, just came to see." Zhu King also smiled and said, "Yes, Brother Tang San. This time I am lucky enough to watch the promotion match with my father, and I came to see you by the way. How is it, are you used to staying here? Do you want me to ask someone to change you?" Tang San shook his head and said, "No need, Your Highness, this place is already very good, I won't bother you." Zhu King frowned slightly, trying to correct Tang San's address to him. Just when he was about to speak, he suddenly saw a figure slowly walking over from the corner of his eye. So the words Zhu King wanted to say were immediately choked in his throat, and he felt suffocated. And who else could have such an impact on him except Tang Liu? Tang Liu was also slightly startled when he suddenly saw Zhu King, but then a barely perceptible smile flashed across his lips. He walked to the side and back of Tang San and stood still, bowing slightly to Ning Fengzi and Zhu King. "Uncle Ning, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince." Ning Fengzi and Zhu King smiled back at him at the same time. However, compared to the two, Ning Fengzi's smile was undoubtedly much gentler and more natural, while Zhu King's smile was a little stiff. Zhu King, "Oh my god, I really want to fight him now, but what can I do if I can beat him? So I'd better keep smiling." Tang Liu was unmoved by Zhu King, who was smiling on his face and occasionally revealed in his eyes that he wanted to eat him up. His face was calm, and he stood beside Tang San without saying a word, trying to maintain his personality. Well, in front of outsiders, he must maintain his own high, nay, cold, Xiang, cool, Tian, personality. Zhu King smiled but his voice was a little gritted. "Brother Tang Liu is here too. I heard that you shined in the preliminaries. I hope to see you perform well in the promotions as well." Tang Liu responded with a faint smile. "Your Highness the Crown Prince may be disappointed. Our Shrek Academy teachers do not allow me to play in the promotions, except for special circumstances. However, you can still go to watch the finals. I should be able to play by then." Before Zhu King could speak, Ning Fengzi smiled and said, "With King's identity, it may be impossible for me to go to Wuhan City to watch your school's finals. So King, I'm afraid you will be disappointed this time." After all, he couldn't wish that Shrek Academy would really encounter any accidents in the promotions, right? Zhu King smiled and said, "Then let me hold on to this regret and wish your school a smooth qualification in advance. Although I can't watch the finals, at least I can feast my eyes on the promotions." Tang Liu looked at Zhu King and smiled without saying a word. "Haha, if you really want to watch the finals, it's just a matter of dressing up. Can't go? Who are you kidding?" The next person to come over was Ning Rongrong. After all, her real father is here. After Ning Rongrong made a fuss, everyone in Shrek heard the noise and came out one after another. Flanders, the dean, immediately stepped forward, and the master followed him. After the three of them greeted each other, Ning Fengzi introduced Zhu King to them. Of course, he only introduced his name, and did not mention Zhu Qing's identity as the prince, also to avoid trouble. After that, Ning Fengzi mentioned the request to send his sect's disciples to study at Shrek Academy. However, Tang Liu felt that he might still be a little envious of the fairy grass that Tang San had given Ning Rongrong, the key Luo tulip. He wanted to see if he could pick up some more for free after sending the disciples to Shrek Academy. After all, that was the 9 treasures glazed tower, which completely broke the limitation that the 7 treasures glazed tower could only be cultivated to the 7th ring. Moreover, when the 7 treasures glazed tower was cultivated to the 7th ring, it could add 80% increase of 6 different attributes to the Soul Master at the same time. If it is the 9 treasure glazed tower, cultivating to the 9th ring can increase the attributes of the Soul Master by 100%. It is no wonder that Ning Fengzi was tempted. After all, it is related to whether the 7 treasure glazed sect can go further, and he, as the sect master, has to worry more. Moreover, now that he can develop the 7 treasure glazed sect a little bigger, Ning Rongrong's dowry will be a little more in the future, right? Ning Fengzi's little abacus in his heart was playing a loud sound, and he just wanted to give everything to his precious daughter. Well, there is no doubt that he is a daughter slave. And Flanders would naturally not refuse such a money-making thing, so the two of them discussed it happily. After the general confirmation, Ning Fengzi and Zhu Qing said goodbye. Then not long after, the promotion match began. A total of 15 teams participated in the promotion match, adopting a round-robin system, 1 round of competition every day, and 1 team will be on a bye every day, and each team will play a total of 7 games. The rules of the game are also very simple. Each side sends 7 players to play in turn. The first student to play is defeated by the other side before changing players. This continues until all 7 players on one side are defeated. The final ranking is still based on the point system. Each victory gets a big point, and each victory over a student from a local academy gets a small point. In the end, the big points and small points jointly determine the ranking of each academy. Shrek's first battle was against a team from the Kingdom of Barak. In the end, the master only sent Xiao Wu, Tang San and Daimyu Bei to participate in the competition, which fully demonstrated his confidence in the student's strength and was also a great encouragement to morale. Small theater, Tang Liu, self-righteous, I am very cold, I am very cold, I am very cold. In fact, in the eyes of others, it turns out that this little guy is so shy and doesn't like to talk. Tang San, motherly love filter, my brother is really cute. So a mother who was reading the resurrection bar bent a leaf into a question mark. Chapter 157 Xiao Wu's early breakthrough. The strength of the Barak kingdom is not strong, anyway, it can't cause any trouble to Shrek. However, before their Shrek Academy played today's game, they watched the games of 2 academy teams. The first one was a familiar team, the Blazing Fire Academy, and they finished the game with only Ho Wushuang and Ho Wu. After that, the team called the Alien Beast Academy, although unfamiliar, had a familiar person from the Shrek 7 Devils in it. That was Meng Yiren. After defeating the 3 people from the other academy, she also found Tang San, so she stretched out her slender and lush fingers and shot him. Tang Liu immediately poked his brother's waist with his elbow, winked and said, "Brother, you are very lucky." Oscar next to him had the same expression as him and nodded in agreement. Tang San didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Okay, maybe she's still holding a grudge about the starred-out Great Forest. After all, we even stole 2 of her spirit rings. Don't laugh, Xiao, you're also involved. Oscar chuckled and said, it's okay, after all, the girl's attention is on you, so of course I'm safe. Tang San shook his head helplessly. Okay, I'm going to get ready for the competition. Tang Liu immediately pushed him and said with a smile, go quickly, maybe you can meet Ho Wu or Meng Yiren when you go down. Xiao Wu, who had been silent, suddenly coughed lightly, then looked at Tang Liu with a smile, the scorpion braid behind her head swaying gently, as if she was going to wrap around someone's neck and hang him up and strangle him to death the next moment. Tang Liu, then give them a big slap each and tell them that you already have a boyfriend. Tang San, Xiao Wu, others. Ning Rongrong couldn't help but say, Xiao Liu, you won't be able to get a girlfriend like this. Tang Liu was very open-minded. It's okay, I can turn gay men. After all, he has such a handsome face. It's not impossible to be popular with both men and women. Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, Zhu Huqing, Jiang's whose eyes were shining. Tang San slapped him on the back of the head without hesitation. Every day, your little mouth is smeared with shit. Nonsense. Tang Liu covered his head that was hurt by the slap and smiled. Just a joke, just a joke. After the episode, the battle of the Alien Beast Academy was over. Next, it was naturally the turn of Shrek Academy. Xiao Wu's fighting power was obvious to everyone. Even though the Bara Kingdom team had a soul sect, her unreasonable soft skills were still hard to resist after Xiao Wu got close to her. So she has been winning smoothly. When the opponent with the spirit of sunflower and the attribute of poison came on the field, it was time to stimulate the protective power of Acacia Heartbroken Red, but Tang Liu secretly used the Hyaolin mark to help Xiao Wu cheat, helping her to close her nose and body pores, making her completely immune to the poisonous pollen of the Sunflower Spirit Master. So Xiao Wu finished the game again, and finally defeated the 6 opponents by herself. When it came to the last person, Xiao Wu had some spirit power running out, but in the end she still narrowly defeated her opponent and completed the first 1-on-7 in this promotion match. Xiao Wu, who is not eye-catching because of her soul master cultivation, instantly became the focus of attention like Tang San and Tang Liu. Now no one can underestimate this soft-boned charm rabbit spirit master. Tang Liu, who had been watching the game, was also a little confused. After all, he didn't expect that he just secretly helped Xiao Wu to be immune to the attack of poisonous pollen, but it actually caused such a big butterfly effect. Everything that happened afterwards surprised him even more, because after the first round of the game, Xiao Wu proposed to practice in seclusion. As a result, the next morning, everyone got the news that Xiao Wu had broken through to level 40. With just one spirit ring, she can enter the soul sect sequence like the other 6 monsters of Shrek. For Shrek, it is undoubtedly a new general. If Tang Liu does not play, their chances of winning the championship will undoubtedly increase a lot. Therefore, taking advantage of today's game not yet starting, Tang Liu proposed to take Xiao Wu and Liu Erlong to get a spirit ring. With his Hyaolin teleport, it doesn't take long to go back and forth. As a result, Shrek drew Blazing Academy today. Tang Liu looked at Flanders, who was a little embarrassed, because he was the one who drew the lot, and said, "It's okay, let my brother play directly, his blue-silver grass fire immunity, at worst he can beat 5 opponents, maybe he can beat 7. Or, I can play too? Let's finish it quickly and go to find a spirit ring." The master listened to his advice and let Tang San play, followed by Daimyo Bei and Tang Liu. Originally, the master wanted Zhu Xiuqing or Ma Hongjin to replace Tang Liu, and then let Tang Liu take Xiao Wu and Liu Erlong to find the spirit ring during the game, but when he saw Xiao Wu's look of worrying about Tang San, he gave up. Moreover, it would be a bit unworthy for Ma Hongjin to play now, but Tang Liu, who has played many times, does not have this problem. After all, this one-on-one match is unlikely to make him reveal more cards. It's not that the master has no confidence in Tang San and Daimyo Bei, but just adding a safety measure. After all, Shrek is not playing with all its main players now, and it is going to stay in the finals. It's better to be safe without showing all its strength. And Tang San did not disappoint everyone, and defeated 6 opponents from Blazing Academy one after another. It was just that in the last duel with Ho Wu counterattacked and was almost hit by Ho Wu Yaoyang, who melted the ring, and it was to protect Ho Wu. However, in order to finish the game quickly, Tang Liu asked the master to admit defeat when he saw that something was wrong, so he threw a virtual spirit purification on the competition stage and purified Ho Wu Yaoyang. In the end, although Ho Wu defeated Tang San, who had defeated 6 people, she also exhausted all her soul power and could no longer compete, so the final victory still belonged to Shrek Academy. After confirming that Tang San was not injured, Tang Liu used Hyaolin to teleport Xiao Wu and Liu Erlong away in a hurry. This time their destination was the Sunset Forest, which was the closest to here. However, Tang Liu only teleported to a place far away from the military camp, and then immediately used the psychedelic gaze that had been ready for a long time on Liu Erlong. Liu Erlong was immediately dragged into the illusion. And it was an illusion in which they were looking for soul rings together in the Sunset Forest. In short, Liu Erlong or others would not be able to see any flaws. After confirming that there was no one around, Tang Liu said to Xiao Wu, "Sister Xiao Wu, you can start now. I will protect you." After all, Xiao Wu was a 100,000-year soul beast, and she didn't need to hunt soul beasts to obtain soul rings, so there was no need to really go to the Sunset Forest. Xiao Wu responded, and immediately sat cross-legged and began to condense her 4th soul ring, Small Theater, after the game, at night. The girls suddenly realized that Tang Liu's appearance was really a big threat. Ningrong, I have to ask Xiao Ao to spend less time with Xiao Liu in the future. Zhu Huking, I just realized that the lecture Daimyo Bei spends more time looking at Xiao Liu than at me. Xiao Wu, crying, then what should I do? Xiao San and Xiao Liu are brothers, and Xiao San can't wait to stick with Xiao Liu every day. If Xiao Liu didn't dislike him, Ningrong, Zhu Huking, Jiangzhu, well, actually I think the three girls said in unison, others are fine, but not my partner, Jiangzhu, weakly, then, what if they become gay first? Xiao Wu, Ningrong, no more words, Zhu Huking, let's end our friendship. P.S. I checked the schools and majors today, so it's a little late. Chapter 158, Botanical College, that's it? That's it? It took Xiao Wu an hour to condense her soul ring. When she stood up from the ground, Tang Liu lifted the illusion imposed on Liu Erlong. Liu Erlong was stunned for a moment, and then seamlessly connected with what happened in the illusion. She smiled and said, Xiao Wu, tell me what your fourth soul skill is. 1,000-year-old golden rabbit is not common, and the soul skill it can bring to you should be good. Xiao Wu was stunned for a moment, and subconsciously looked at Tang Liu. The golden rabbit is a very special kind of soul beast in the soul beast world. It has a natural soul skill called the invincible golden body. As the name suggests, after using it, you can get a short-term invincible effect. And Xiao Wu's fourth soul skill is the invincible golden body. So there is nothing wrong with Liu Erlong saying that her fourth soul skill comes from the golden rabbit. But they didn't go to the sunset forest at all, nor did they hunt the golden rabbit. And the reason why Liu Erlong said that was also because of the influence of Tang Liu's psychedelic gaze. In other words, Tang Liu already knew that her fourth soul skill was the invincible golden body, so he used the illusion to influence Liu Erlong and let her say that. But why did he know that? Although Xiao Wu was confused, she knew that her soul beast identity could not be exposed now, so she chose to cooperate with Tang Liu and said, my fourth soul skill is the invincible golden body. Liu Erlong's eyes lit up. Yes, it is indeed this soul skill. In the future competitions, this soul skill of yours will definitely have an unexpected effect. Tang Liu smiled. Then let's go back now. The two girls nodded at the same time, so Tang Liu immediately activated the Haolin teleportation and took them back to the royal hunting ground. The first thing after returning was to report the situation of this trip to the master. Liu Erlong was talking excitedly. Xia gang, let me tell you, not long after we arrived at the soul hunting forest, we encountered a golden rabbit that was particularly suitable for Xiao. After I caught it, I let Xiao kill it and absorb its spirit ring. Then guess what spirit skill Xiao gained? It was the golden rabbit's innate spirit skill, the invincible golden body. Just when Liu Erlong was happily reporting his work, Tang Liu whispered to Xiao, who looked a little embarrassed, how about it? Is it similar to the story you told me about how you obtained the third spirit ring? Xiao immediately glared at him, her face slightly red. Nonsense, my story is obviously much more reliable than yours. Tang Liu smiled but said nothing. At this time, the master also finished listening to Liu Erlong's report. After thinking for a moment, he said to Xiao Wu, I originally thought that you would not obtain the invincible golden body spirit skill in the fourth spirit ring, but now it seems that your luck is really good. With the invincible golden body, a spirit skill with a strong life-saving effect, you will be able to let go of your hands and feet more in the future battles with others. It is a good thing for your entire team, and the helpful effect it can play is self-evident. However, no matter how useful a spirit skill is, there will eventually be a way to restrain it. Therefore, I can't let you play in the promotion match. In the next game, Xiao Liu or Zhu Huking will replace you. Xiao Wu nodded. Yes, master. The master nodded slightly and said to them, okay, then you go back and rest first. Tang Liu and Xiao Wu left the Grandmaster's tent, and then returned to their own tents to take a short rest. As usual, Tang Liu began to practice as soon as he was free. Now he is not far from level 60, but he is still compressing his soul power for the fourth time. His plan is to start condensing the sixth soul ring of his Haolin spell after the fourth compression of his soul power. With the effect of his mantra, this time will not be too long. He estimates that it will be completed by the end of the promotion game. By then, after condensing the soul ring, he will participate in the finals as a soul emperor. Then he will work harder, and before the final game with the spirit whole team, he should be able to truly practice to the soul saint. By then, his 2-year agreement with Tang Hao will be fulfilled, and he can also give the spirit hall a good beating. Isn't it double the happiness? The more Tang Liu thought about it, the happier he became, so he started practicing immediately. In particular, he has become more and more proficient in the method of distraction recently, so he has discovered a way to make his meridians last longer when running at super speed, that is, to divide one more part of his mind to use the regeneration effect of the virtual Blue Emperor domain to strengthen the repair speed of the damaged meridians. This is also the source of his confidence that he can break through to the Soul Saint before the final. Shrek's opponents in the next 2 days are not strong. Tang San will go on stage to defeat the 4 opponents, and then Daimyo Bei will be replaced to deal with the remaining 3 people from the enemy academy. Of course, Tang San still has the ability to fight 7 alone, just to avoid offending other academies. After all, Shrek Academy is still a self-made man, and its foundation is not very deep, so the less trouble, the less trouble. Then, the competition went to the 6th day. Today, Shrek Academy's opponent is the Botanical Academy. This academy is also very special, because the team sent by their academy is all composed of control-type soul masters. Common sense in the soul master world tells us that control-type soul masters restrain all other types of soul masters. Whether it is the strong attack system, the agile attack system, the auxiliary system, or the food system, if it is completely controlled by the control system soul master, it will only be defeated. This is why the control system soul master can usually play a leading role in a soul master team. Therefore, when facing such a team, the master also changed Shrek's appearance strategy. The first to appear was Wang Yuan, followed by Jingling and Tai Long. And their opponent was the control system soul master with a soul power of level 41 in the Botanical Academy. The result is beyond doubt. The 3 soul masters of Shrek were defeated by the opponent. After all, when there is a big gap in soul power, once they are restricted by the control system soul master, it is often difficult to break free from the control, and the final outcome is to exhaust the soul power and be eliminated. Therefore, after defeating the 3 players of Shrek Academy in a row, the soul master who appeared in the Botanical Academy was a little arrogant. That's it? I thought it was so powerful, but it turns out that Shrek Academy is not that good. Tang Liu immediately looked at him in surprise. It turned out that the weirdness was not only in their place. Therefore, the master sent Ma Hongjin next, whose martial spirit attribute completely restrained the Shrek students from the Botanical Academy. The reason why the master let Wang Yuan, Jingling, and Tai Long appear first was to let Ma Hongjin see the fighting style of the Botanical Academy clearly, and then directly beat him alone. Chapter 159 The Defeated Ma Hongjin. Ma Hongjin almost did it. After all, the martial soul attribute restraint was there, which made it difficult for Ma Hongjin to lose. Even though the 6th student sent by the Botanical Academy had a fire-resistant red flame thorn martial soul, Ma Hongjin still defeated the opponent without much effort. But it was almost a 1-on-7 victory. In the end, Ma Hongjin was defeated by the last student of the Botanical Academy. That student was a 45th level soul master, with the highest soul power level in the entire Botanical Academy, and at the same time, she seemed to be the youngest. She looked about the same age as Xiao Wu at most. In other words, he was only 14 years old, just like most of the Shrek 7 devils. Similarly, the girl also had a top-level plant-type martial soul, a martial soul called the 7-star plum. When the master recognized the girl's martial soul, it was not surprising that Ma Hongjin would lose. He explained to the Shrek crowd, 7-star plum is also an extremely rare type among plant-type soul beasts. Its rarity can be compared to the Titan ape you have seen before. And this plant only grows in the depths of the Arctic ice field. This rarity also establishes its status in the soul beast world. Once it appears on a soul master and becomes a soul master's martial soul, it must be a top-level martial soul. The reason why this 7-star plum is called a top-level martial soul is not only because of its rarity, but also because of its own uniqueness. According to the documents I have seen, each branch of the 7-star plum tree only blooms 7 plum blossoms, and each plum blossom is able to possess an attribute ability and a corresponding attribute immunity ability. Water, fire, earth, wind, light, darkness, space. Now that the little girl has cultivated the 7-star plum to the 4th ring, it means that she has the 4 attribute abilities of water, fire, earth, and wind, as well as immunity to these 4 attribute abilities. It turns out that she also has immunity to fire attribute. No wonder the fat man lost. Tang San said, looking at the girl from the Botanical Academy standing on the competition field. Judging from her age, she should be about the same as you, but she has also cultivated to the soul sect, so her talent must be no weaker than yours. Maybe, she also has full innate soul power. After all, a top-level martial spirit like the 7-star plum has appeared, so it is not impossible to give her full innate soul power, the master continued. Oscar covered his face in surprise. My goodness, we all ate the fairy grass given to us by Zio-san to cultivate to the soul sect at this age, and that students from the Botanical Academy can't also have fairy grass to take, right? Doesn't this mean that her talent is stronger than ours? The Shrek students were silent for a moment, as if they had been hit. But not long after, Tang Liu spoke up. No, she also took a kind of natural treasure. Although it is not the same fairy grass as ours, the effect is almost the same. Everyone's eyes turned to him, and then they found that Tang Liu had been staring at the girl on the field, with a blue-black light in his eyes. Then Tang Liu closed his eyes, and opened them again after a moment, but this time the blue light in his eyes had faded away. He looked at the Shrek students. I just took a look and got some general information about her. Everyone put on an attitude of listening attentively. So Tang Liu continued to speak. The girl is from Nodding City, and her martial soul awakening was also completed in Nodding City. Tang San, Zio Wu, and Master all opened their mouths in surprise. After all, they also came from Nodding City. And she is indeed born with full soul power. After being tested by the people of the Spirit Hall, she was allowed to study in Nodding College for 6 years, and helped her obtain the first and second soul rings. After graduation, she was directly recommended to study at the Botanical College, and at the age of 12 years and 8 months, she obtained her own third soul ring and broke through to the soul master level. Oscar interrupted and said, only Zio-san and Zio Wu can match this speed of cultivation. Of course, Zio Liu's cheating doesn't count. Daimyo Bei nodded in agreement. Tang Liu smiled and couldn't help rolling his eyes at them, saying, your talent is not worse than hers, it's just that you don't work as hard as she does. Brother Bai, if you spend less time on that and that, you can also break through to Soul Master at the age of 12. Similarly, Zio Ao, after all, you are also born with full soul power. If you are less lazy, you may also break through to Soul Master at the age of 12. So both of them scratched their heads awkwardly. Zhu's Huking glared at Daimyo Bei at the same time. Daimyo Bei was so scared that he almost exploded. Tang Liu continued, the reason why she can become a soul sect at the age of 14 is that she was just 13 years old. The teacher of the Botanical College took her and other students out for training, and at the same time, in order to help some students who had reached a bottleneck to obtain soul rings. Then, when they were obtaining spirit rings for a member of the academy whose martial spirit was ice attributed, they went to the Arctic ice field. Afterwards, she encountered a wild 7-star plum tree. The master, who knew a lot about spirit beasts, reacted instantly and said, did she eat the plum blossoms of the 7-star plum tree? Tang Liu nodded, yes, she ate 3 plum blossoms. The master suddenly realized, no wonder she can cultivate to the soul sect at such a young age. It turns out that she got the help of spirit beasts of the same kind. Tang San asked in confusion, teacher, what is the help of spirit beasts of the same kind? Can it help spirit masters cultivate quickly? The others also looked at the master curiously. The master explained, it is not that it can help the soul master to practice quickly, but it can help the soul master break through some innate shackles, so as to practice more smoothly. Of course, this is also accompanied by the improvement of the practice speed. Tang San understood a little. Is it equivalent to Yijin Fa Sui? The master nodded. Yes, it can be said so, but the effect is stronger. Think about it, Mo Hongjian's martial soul is a fire phoenix. If he gets the help of a real fire phoenix, or even directly gets the spirit ring and spirit bone of a fire phoenix, what will he become? The martial soul is originally a part of the soul master, so under the condition of the same origin, the soul master's martial soul will become purer, closer to the martial soul itself, and the understanding of the martial soul will be more profound. Naturally, those bottlenecks that will restrict the soul master's practice will gradually disappear. So, the soul master who gets the help of the same soul beast is actually equivalent to Tang San said. To a certain extent, inheriting part of the power of the soul beast, Tang Liu took over his words. Yes, such as cultivation, physical fitness, etc. The master affirmed them. Oscar exclaimed, Is that so? However, she was lucky enough to encounter a 7-star plum tree that was as rare as the Titan ape. Ningrongrong couldn't help but say, isn't it also lucky that you were able to encounter the 8-petal fairy orchid that the third brother gave you? Everyone smiled knowingly. Yes, this is indeed their luck. Master, then for this last game, Liu, you go on. After all, you also have a top-level plant-type martial spirit, and you are also immune to all attributes. When you two face off, both sides will be least affected by the restraint of the other's martial spirit. Tang Liu nodded. But just when he was about to go to the game, Xiao Wu suddenly spoke. Thanks to the book friend, I was waiting for you in the past for the 400 book coins reward. Thanks to the book friend, Zixin, for the 400 book coins reward. Chapter 160. Tang Liu cried anxiously. Xiao Liu, how do you know all this? Xiao Wu looked at Tang Liu and finally said this. Are you able to see other people's memories and thoughts? Just now, is it because of this that you know all these things that happened to that girl? Tang San gently scolded her, Xiao Wu, signaling her to stop talking. But Xiao Wu still stared at Tang Liu without saying anything. The other people in Shrek first looked at Xiao Wu, and then at Tang Liu, waiting for Tang Liu's explanation. Everyone has been together for such a long time, and they have more or less understood Tang Liu's ability. Naturally, they are very curious about Tang Liu's ability. That seems to be able to easily see everything that happened to someone. After all, no one wants to have all their secrets seen by others without their knowledge. But everyone just kept it in their hearts and didn't choose to say it out. But now that Xiao Wu took the lead, they naturally wanted to hear Tang Liu's explanation, and whether he had used this ability on them. Tang Liu didn't look at the other people's eyes, but his peripheral vision also took in all the other people's eyes. He didn't avoid Xiao Wu's eyes, just looked at her. It is said that once two people are together for more than 8 seconds, they will either kiss each other or fight. But the former situation is obviously impossible, so in order to avoid the latter situation, Tang Liu spoke at the 5th second. He did not forget to add a smile before saying, yes, I have the ability you said. But what I used on that student just now was not this ability. What I used just now was more advanced, which was to directly see the person's past, before everyone had time to be surprised. Xiao Wu spoke again, then, have you used it on us too? If he really used it, then did he see something he shouldn't have seen? The expressions of several girls changed slightly, and the pretty faces suddenly turned red. The male classmates also came back to their senses, and their expressions suddenly became a little strange. Looking at their suddenly unnatural expressions, Tang Liu instantly understood the real intention of Xiao Wu asking these questions. So Tang Liu, he just felt his brain went blank. No, aren't their thoughts on the same channel? This is completely different from what he imagined, okay? He almost lost his temper. They have been together for so long, don't they know his personality? Does he think he is the kind of person who will invade other people's privacy at will? Tang Liu had a wooden face and the tips of his ears began to turn red. He pretended to be calm and said, I didn't. No one spoke for a while. So after 3 seconds, Tang Liu turned red all over, like a cooked shrimp. Within 1 second, he lowered his head, covered his face, and squatted down, and the 3 actions were completed in one go. Then he said loudly, what are you thinking about every day? Why would I do that kind of thing? I don't dislike those hooligans, so how could I watch them? Everyone looked at the little one squatting on the ground feeling aggrieved. The boys suddenly felt both amused and helpless, while the girls were suddenly not shy anymore, and even suddenly wanted to tease the shy and autistic little boy in front of them. So Ningrongrong, who already had the attributes of a witch, spoke first. Hey, Xiao Liu, it's okay, if you saw it, forget it. Of course, if you secretly watch it in the future, I will not forgive you. Tang Liu, I didn't, then it was the older senior sister Jiangsu. Hey, don't be like this, Xiao Liu, there is nothing to be shy about such a thing. Xiao Wu also smiled at this time. That's right, Xiao Liu, we are not shy. Why are you shy? Even Zhu Ziuqing, who had always been indifferent, spoke. Well, you are very cute. Tang Liu was about to explode. That's enough, stop talking. I really didn't, the girls said in unison. Yeah, we all understand. Hey Tang Liu. So he squatted and moved himself around, with his back to them, looking deeply autistic. The girls immediately laughed like silver bells. Dai Mubei put his fist to his lips, coughed lightly, and said, that's enough. Tang San walked up to help his autistic brother up, but he still refused to turn around. So Tang San looked at the girls and said helplessly, "Okay, stop teasing Xiao Liu." Ning Rongrong smiled, "I can't help it, Xiao Liu is just too cute." Tang Liu, who had his back to them, suddenly turned half of his head, but with his eyes closed. "Don't forget, I'm older than you." Although he was shorter, he was indeed one of the 4 oldest in the Shrek monster group. Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong's smile suddenly froze. Thinking about it carefully, it was really the case. However, there is always someone stronger than the strong. It was her, Zhu Huqing, who spoke at this time. She rarely smiled, and then said, "Hey, stinky brother, so what?" Tang Liu, Daimyu Bei, Xiao Wu and Ning Rongrong laughed again. Tang Liu turned his head again in humiliation. Really, he had never been treated like this by a girl in his previous life. So he suffered unimaginable hurt. "Tang Liu, I have never been wronged like this." Then, Tang San, who had been supporting Tang Liu, found that his brother seemed to be crying. Tang San, of course, it's not really crying, but that pair of beautiful eyes became visibly moist, watery, and looked very healthy, Tang San calmed down his suddenly accelerated heartbeat, then patted Tang Liu's back and smiled. "Okay, let's go to the game," Tang Liu said with a tremor. "Oh," Tang San heard the little grievance in his voice, and his whole body trembled. Tang Liu directly sent himself away with hail and teleport, escaping from this place that made him embarrassed. "Tang Liu, this is the disadvantage of my lack of experience." Although Tang Liu left, the laughter of the 4 girls still did not stop, and the men looked at them helplessly. In short, the atmosphere at Shrek Academy was relaxed. Now move your eyes to the competition stage. In the short transmission time, Tang Liu adjusted his mood again, and there was no strange expression on his face. But the remaining water in his eyes still betrayed him. However, under the sunlight, those enchanting eyes seemed to have many more golden stars, so they looked even better. Small theater. The first thing you see when watching a game in the audience is the side profile of the contestant. So the one who took in Tang Liu's watery eyes, Daimyu Bei, swallowing saliva, Oscar, eyes wide open. Mo Hongjin quickly patted himself. No, what am I thinking? Daimyu Bei, Oscar. Then one day, Daimyu Bei, sighing, "Why don't you say Xiao Liu is not a woman?" Oscar, nodding, "Yes, if Xiao Liu was a girl, she would definitely be very beautiful." Daimyu Bei, "And she is so pure, if I were the old me, I would definitely take action." Oscar, "Boss Dai, do you know that your thoughts are very dangerous?" Daimyu Bei, Zhu Huqing, embracing Ning Rongrong, Hell. Chapter 161. Top plant-type martial spirit. At least, that's what the girl on the other side thought. Tang Liu did have a face that could amaze the world. Although he wasn't tall yet, he was still young and would grow up in the future. Thinking of the information she had read about Tang Liu, she couldn't help but feel a little dazed. He was born with full soul power, a useless spirit, blue silver grass, a 14-year-old soul master, and his second soul ring was at the 1,000-year level, while his third and fourth soul rings were at the 10,000-year level. In the preliminaries, he defeated the 2 major colleges of Shenfang and Leiting alone. What kind of unique appearance was this? Even if she felt that her talent was beyond the reach of ordinary people, it was still difficult to compare with Tang Liu. And now, she was about to have a one-on-one battle with this absolute pride of heaven. To be honest, she didn't have much confidence in her heart. After all, Tang Liu's previous record was there. But she still had some hope. Why? Because of her spirit. 7-star plum, an absolute top-level plant spirit. Because of whose spirit? It was just an ordinary blue-silver grass, a standard useless spirit. As we all know, a high-level martial spirit will definitely suppress a low-level martial spirit, and even directly make the low-level martial spirit lose most of its combat power. This may be the key to her victory over Tang Liu. If she defeats Tang Liu, she will not only immediately bring great honor to the Botanical Academy, but also bring him a qualification. A qualification that she has dreamed of since she was a child. When she was 6 years old, after awakening her martial spirit in the Spirit Hall, she was recorded in the book with full innate soul power, and then reported to the higher levels. Because she has this talent, she can make the people in the Spirit Hall pay enough attention to her. Once she is noticed by the people in the Spirit Hall, it basically means that her life will be smooth from now on. The person in charge of the Spirit Hall, where she awakened her martial spirit, also told her again and again that as long as she chooses to join the Spirit Hall, the future is promising. So she agreed. After all, She was just a commoner. And she was still young at that time. But unexpectedly, her final application was returned. It seems that the Pope returned it personally. There is no reason, but it is still under investigation. She was puzzled. Because after reading the Pope's letter, the person in charge of the Spirit Hall sighed and said, "You are still not qualified," so she was even more confused. After all, since her spirit awakened, people around her have been talking about how good her spirit is and how high her talent is. But why did the Pope still think she was not qualified? She kept this doubt until she met the 7-star plum tree in the Arctic ice field. And the person standing next to the tree. So she asked this question. The person smiled and told her. The Spirit Hall already has 2 saints. One belongs to the Elder Hall, and the other belongs to the Pope Hall. The 2 parties have been fighting for power, so how can they allow the appearance of a 3rd saint? Because you don't have a strong background, you are not qualified to intervene in this war between them, she asked. Then how can I be qualified? The person spread his hands. How should I know? She asked again. Then can you help me? The person smiled. You are not qualified. She asked again. Then how can I be qualified? The man thought about it seriously. You just defeat someone you are destined to be invincible. Who is that person? How do I know? Maybe it's the Pope herself? After all, as long as you defeat her, the Spirit Hall will be yours, and then you will have all the qualifications. But how can I defeat someone who is destined to be invincible? The man laughed again. Then practice hard. Anyway, as long as you feel that you have defeated the person who makes you destined to be invincible, I will help you. Okay, well, now you eat the remaining 3 plum blossoms. I know there are 7. Don't look at me like that. I did eat 4 plum blossoms. After all, I am doing this for your own good. With your current cultivation, eating 3 is enough. The voice in the memory gradually faded away, and then the referee's voice sounded. Both parties are named Tang Liu, a 41st level auxiliary weapons spirit master. She came back to her senses, looked at Tang Liu, and opened her red lips slightly. Mu Jing, a level 45 control type combat soul master. As soon as she finished speaking, she was stunned. Auxiliary system? She shouldn't have heard it wrong, right? Someone with such an impressive record in the information is actually an auxiliary system? Who is he kidding? Before she could think about it, the referee announced the start of the game. So she released her martial spirit reflexively. A slender branch about half a meter long, brown and black, crooked, appeared out of thin air in her right hand. Although the branch was crooked, it had a kind of vigorous and resolute beauty. A careful count showed that the branch had exactly 7 bends, and at the first 4 bends, each bloomed a white flower with a slight pink tint. The strange thing is that the stamens of each flower are different colors, blue, red, yellow, and green. The surface of the branch is not as messy and rough as ordinary trees. Instead, it looks round, and the texture like floating clouds and flying snowflakes is evenly and regularly distributed on the entire branch, giving the entire branch a sense of agility. Mu Jing gently pinched the end of the branch with 3 fingers of her right hand, and held the front end of the branch with her left hand, looking at Tang Liu across from her. 2 yellow, 2 purple, a total of 4 soul rings rose from the bottom of her feet. At the same time, she also saw Tang Liu's martial spirit. The illusory blue gold crystal vine was undoubtedly extremely beautiful, even though it was actually just the most inconspicuous blue silver grass on the Douluo continent. But after it grew out on the palm of Tang Liu's left hand, it kept emitting a noble and majestic aura. That nobility was the same as Mu Jing's 7-star plum, and the two were almost the same. But Mu Jing's 7-star plum lacked that majesty. Mu Jing's pupils contracted, because Tang Liu's martial spirit was not suppressed. It means that the martial spirits of the two are actually of the same grade. The almost identical nobility can also explain this. But Tang Liu's blue-silver grass is more majestic than her 7-star plum. It proves that Tang Liu's martial spirit is 1 level higher than her 7-star plum in terms of grade. But at least, there was no counter-suppression, which made Mu Jing slightly relieved. So she got serious, and then launched her first soul skill on Tang Liu. The first circle of yellow soul rings on her body lit up, and the next moment, the first plum blossom on the 7-star plum branch in her hand began to grow rapidly, and finally became more than twice as large as before. At the same time, the flower was no longer white with pink, but turned directly blue. A drop of dew slid down. Thank you, book friend. I've been waiting for your 300 book coins in the past, and the friends and book friends from Kidian for the rewards. Chapter 162 7-Star Plum, Element Control. Then the dewdrop fell to the ground. It was like the sound of raindrops falling on the ground. A crisp and light sound. The sound was like the ripples caused by raindrops falling into the water, spreading out in circles, gently caressing everything, gently washing away the dirt. But it also contains explosive power, which can wash away everything in an instant. It can also destroy everything. The first soul skill, 3000 Plum Rainfall. Mu Jing's first soul skill can make the designated target fall into a stalemate for a period of time. The moment before she launched the soul skill, Tang Liu's eyes once again emitted a blue-black light. Then, he saw that the dewdrop dripping from the blue plum blossom splashed on the ground. Along with it, circles of blue ripples splashed out. Wherever the blue ripples passed, even the air was stagnant. So when the blue ripples came in front of him, the circle of yellow soul rings on his body also lit up. The first soul skill, the control of the virtual spirit. The ethereal blue-silver emperor on his left hand instantly retracted, and almost at the same time, the blue ripples in Tang Liu's eyes swept across his body. He paused for a second, then stepped forward. Mu Jing was not surprised that her first soul skill failed to work on Tang Liu. As she slowly retreated, the second soul ring on her body also lit up. The white flower at the second bend of the 7-star plum in her hand grew the next moment, and then turned into fiery orange-red. Against the brown and black branches, it looked very bright and dangerous. Mu Jing touched the ground with her toes, and led her body to turn lightly in a circle on the spot. The 7-star plum branch in her hand was gently waved by it as her body turned. The next moment, a bright line of fire flew towards Tang Liu at a high speed. Looking closely, you can find that the line of fire in the air is actually composed of countless fiery red plum blossoms. This is Mu Jing's second soul skill. The plum blossoms are like flowing fire. This is an offensive soul skill with a control effect. Once hit, the target will be bound by the line of fire, and will be burned, and the target's soul skills will be interrupted. When Ma Hongjin fought with her before, he suffered from Mu Jing's second soul skill, and his soul skills were interrupted many times. In the end, he was defeated due to the reduction of soul power. The speed of the line of fire was very fast, so although Tang Liu saw the effect of plum blossoms, he did not have time to do anything else. He just let the line of fire wrap around his body and interrupted his virtual spirit control. The flame attached to the line of fire ignited his clothes a little at the moment of contact, but it could not move forward an inch in the next moment. Because Tang Liu's body was also lit up with a blue-black light at this time, isolating the burning of the flame. However, since he was born immune to all attributes, he would not be burned by the flame. The reason why he used the Hyaolin spell to protect his body was simply because he did not want to burn his clothes to avoid being exposed. He then stretched out 2 fingers and scratched the fire line wrapped around him. Then the fire line that was blooming like a plum blossom broke instantly, fell to the ground, and finally turned into red dots and disappeared. He looked at Mu Jing, who was solemn, and smiled. So Mu Jing decisively lit up her third soul ring, which was also her first 1000-year soul ring. The third soul skill, plum blossoms fall 10 miles away. As the third plum blossom bloomed into a gorgeous cocky flower, a cocky plum blossom pattern instantly appeared under Tang Liu's feet. The next moment, a strong attraction came from the plum blossom pattern under his feet, making Tang Liu unable to move, and at the same time he was pulled down by the suction force. Then, a violent tremor came from his feet, as if trying to shake him down. Once he fell, he would be completely absorbed by the plum blossom pattern and could not move at all. But Tang Liu still did not panic. He raised his eyebrows and used the control of the spirit on himself again. So he straightened up again, then walked out of the range of the plum blossom pattern and smiled at Mu Jing. He thought Mu Jing would use the fourth soul skill on him, and then he would break it again, and then the game would be over. After all, although Mu Jing's soul skills have strong control and a certain degree of offensiveness, it is still difficult to restrict him and break his defense. However, Mu Jing did not do so, but strode directly towards him. Tang Liu felt a little surprised, but he also walked towards Mu Jing. Judging from her posture, she should be fighting him in close combat, so he would not be polite. Mu Jing raised the 7-star plum branch in her hand while approaching Tang Liu quickly, and then waved it towards Tang Liu. At the same time, her first soul ring also lit up. A blue light flashed, and several water arrows flew towards Tang Liu. Tang Liu was a little surprised. Is this the attribute ability obtained by the 7-star plum? Is it to directly control the elements? Tang Liu used the ghost shadow to easily dodge the water arrows, and then threw several blue force fields at Mu Jing. Mu Jing's pace did not stop, and she waved the 7-star plum branch in her hand again, so a water curtain appeared in front of her out of thin air, and then divided into several tributaries, gently sweeping the flying blue force field, slowing down the forward speed of the blue force field, and finally stopping completely. At the same time, the water arrows that Tang Liu dodged also turned in the air and flew towards Tang Liu again. Tang Liu felt the movement behind him, glanced back casually, and then seized the opportunity and jumped immediately. His sudden jump was to dodge the water arrows that were shot at him, and then his figure flipped in the air, watching the water arrows sink into the water curtain in front of Mu Jing. He used his hands to draw hard to both sides, so the blue force field that was originally still in the water curtain moved again, directly splitting the water curtain, revealing the figure of Mu Jing behind. Tang Liu also landed on the ground at this time. He half-crouched, looked at Mu Jing's surprised face, and controlled the Shaolin magic to attack her again. So Mu Jing immediately changed her mind, controlled all the water curtains, and rushed towards Tang Liu. However, these water curtains were not used for attack, but to limit Tang Liu's sight. Then, Mu Jing's second soul ring also lit up. As the branches waved, fireballs flew out, and then accurately found each Shaolin force field, collided with it, and finally detonated. Although Tang Liu did not see it, he still heard the movement. At the same time, his connection with the previous Shaolin force fields also disappeared. So he could guess what Mu Jing did during the time when his sight was blocked. And the next moment, Mu Jing also rushed out from the water curtain, holding the 7-star plum branches that had been burning with flames at some point, and rushed towards him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163 Mu Jing, No. The flame-stained 7-star plum branch was like a sword with flowing light, stabbing straight at Tang Liu's face. Tang Liu couldn't help but smile. Let's do it for real. He turned his wrist, and the Shaolin force field condensed into a long sword in his right hand. He stretched out his hand and lightly picked it up, and deflected the 7-star plum that Mu Jing stabbed at him. Tang Liu then threw the sword in his hand out, and the long sword quickly rotated several times beside him. Under his control, it went behind Mu Jing and stabbed her quickly. Mu Jing naturally noticed it, but there was another Tang Liu in front of her, and 2 fists could not beat 4 hands, so she had to light up her third circle of soul rings. With a light wave of the 7-star plum branch, the ground behind her suddenly rose and turned into a solid wall, blocking the long sword stabbed by the Shaolin force field. Tang Liu then looked up to this girl a little bit, or looked up to the 7-star plum as a martial soul. After all, being able to possess such an extremely rare element control ability shows that the 7-star plum is indeed worthy of being a top martial soul. But this is far from over, because Tang Liu found that the ground under his feet was vibrating again, and the next moment, a soil spike rose rapidly from the ground under his feet. Although Tang Liu jumped in time to avoid it, it still looked very dangerous. Before he landed, another soil spike rose towards him, so Tang Liu had to step on the Shaolin force field to climb up a little again to avoid the emerging soil spike. But the speed of the soil spike emerging from the bottom was much faster than the speed of his avoidance, so he could only keep rising and retreating to prevent being accidentally stabbed. In fact, the main reason was that he was afraid of damaging his clothes. Constant avoidance would eventually allow the opponent to seize the initiative first, especially when Tang Liu also wanted to see how far Mu Jing could go. At a very good opportunity, Mu Jing attacked Tang Liu again. This time, she used the 4th soul skill of a millennium that she had never used against Tang Liu, flying plumb as fast as a knife. She touched the ground with her toes and rose at a very fast speed. While turning her body lightly, 2 fingers of her left hand gently wiped the branches of the 7-star plum in her hand. When she turned back to Tang Liu, she swung her left hand quickly. What followed was a swift green light that was difficult to see with the naked eye. Although Tang Liu had been dodging the ground spikes that kept popping up from the ground, his attention was actually on Mu Jing. So when the green light flew out of Mu Jing's hand, he also saw it. He narrowed his eyes slightly, and the blue-black light in his eyes was immediately rendered with a few luxurious purple halos. The world in his eyes slowed down rapidly at this moment. So he also saw the true face of the green light. A green plum blossom. His eyes turned to the 7-star plum branch in Mu Jing's hand. As expected, there was one less plum blossom there, leaving only 3. Tang Liu understood, and the blue light enveloped his entire right hand. Then he raised his hand and pinched his fingers lightly, and clamped the green plum blossom that was flying at high speed. The green plum blossom burst out with a powerful cutting force the moment he caught it. But it was suppressed by the Hyaolin force field on Tang Liu's right hand, and it could not leak out at all. When the cutting force disappeared, the green plum blossom also disappeared. Looking around, 4 plum blossoms appeared on Mu Jing's 7-star plum again. Tang Liu couldn't help but raise his lips slightly. So that's it. This 7-star plum martial spirit is really good. Are we still fighting? Tang Liu looked at Mu Jing below and smiled. Of course, Mu Jing responded with her eyes slightly widened. Okay then, Tang Liu nodded, but you have been the one who took the initiative to attack before, so now it's my turn. Hearing this, Mu Jing immediately stopped her forward momentum and looked at Tang Liu in the air vigilantly. At the same time, a Hyaolin force field appeared under Tang Liu's feet. This Hyaolin force field was not very large, but it was just enough to include him and Mu Jing. So the next moment, this Hyaolin force field was under his control and quickly pressed down. The Hyaolin force field first came into contact with the high ground spikes, and then the ground spikes were slowly pressed down. Yes, it was pressed down, instead of being crushed directly and then falling to the ground. This alone is enough to prove the power of Tang Liu's mental control. Mu Jing's pupils shrank below, and she immediately understood Tang Liu's intention, so she immediately used the 7-star plum to control the earth element, so that huge stone pillars rose one after another from the ground, intending to slow down the speed of the Hyaolin force field, and buy time for herself to escape from the coverage of the Hyaolin force field. But it was a drop in the bucket, and the speed of the Hyaolin force field was not slowed down too much. The stone pillars she summoned behind, like the ground spikes, were being pressed back to the ground. So she immediately changed her mind and chose to control the wind element, forming a swift wind under the Hyaolin force field, carrying her body to move quickly, and then, she escaped just before the Hyaolin force field was completely pressed down. But before she could breathe a sigh of relief, the Hyaolin force field suddenly shattered into countless arrow-shaped Hyaolin force fields, flying in the air in an orderly manner, and then, it flew towards her from all angles at a very fast speed. Mu Jing remained calm in the face of danger. She gently waved the 7-star plum branch in her hand again, and a wall of earth rose from the ground, completely covering her body. Then, a layer of water curtain was added to the outer layer to further strengthen her own defense. Seeing this, Tang Liu was no longer in a hurry to attack. He slowly fell from the air, controlling all the Hyaolin force fields to surround the water curtain, waiting for the opportunity. Classmate, if this goes on, it will be a competition between the two of us to see whose soul power can last longer. Do you have the confidence to beat me? He said this when his feet stepped on the ground again. Tang Liu thought that Mu Jing would either answer him or ignore him, and then compete with him to see who could last longer. But he didn't expect that this little girl would directly open part of the water curtain and the earth wall, and waved the 7-star plum in her hand vigorously in front of her. The ice and snow fanned out and quickly attacked him radially. Wherever it passed, the ground was frozen. Mu Jing chose a good time. Just when Tang Liu was relaxed. But Tang Liu's reaction speed was also very fast, so when the ice and snow were about to reach him, he jumped back in time, and then stretched out his hand in front of him and waved it vigorously. The blue-black light was quickly spread out, and then spread, blocking all the spreading ice and snow, preventing them from spreading further. At the same time, the Hyaolin force fields on standby in the sky also took action again and flew towards Mu Jing. But this little girl also reacted quickly. After releasing the previous attack, she closed the earth wall and water curtain again and hid inside. So when Tang Liu fell back to the ground, he stopped the attack of the Hyaolin force field again. With a casual wave of his hand, the Hyaolin force field that blocked the ice and snow in front of him moved, sweeping away all the ice and snow, forming a passage. Tang Liu walked forward and said loudly, Mu Jing, do we really have to continue? This is boring. Listen to my advice, end this game, and then go back to practice. Isn't it better? A voice came from the water curtain. No, Tang Liu was amused and shook his head gently. Okay then, he raised his chin slightly, and all the Hyaolin force fields in the sky moved at the same time and headed towards the water curtain. Thanks to the book friend, I'm waiting for your 100 book coins in the past. Chapter 164, Poaching. The flying speed of the Hyaolin force field was so fast that only streaks of light remained. Countless streaks of light entangled and intertwined around the water curtain, and then the next moment, the water curtain and the earth wall in the water curtain were shattered at the same time, revealing the figure of Mu Jing. But at the moment when the water curtain and the earth wall were all broken, Mu Jing waved the 7-star plum branch in her hand again. The strong wind swept the flames and rushed towards Tang Liu quickly, forming a wall of fire with a frightening momentum. Tang Liu raised his right hand and held it in front of his eyes. A part of the Hyaolin force field flying in the air gathered in front of him, splitting the wall of fire directly from the center. The flames quickly swept backwards from both sides of Tang Liu. At the same time, the rest of the Hyaolin force field was also pointed at the vital parts of Mu Jing's body at this time. After a while, the flames on the field dissipated, and Tang Liu also retracted the Hyaolin force field that blocked him in front of him, and smiled at Mu Jing. How is it? Mu Jing glanced at the dense Hyaolin force field around her body, and then said very straightforwardly, I lost. Tang Liu then retracted all the Hyaolin force fields on the field. However, just as Mu Jing was about to turn around and walk off the competition stage, Tang Liu stopped her. Classmate, please wait a moment. Mu Jing turned her head to look at him, with no extra expression on her face. Anything else? Tang Liu smiled. Your martial spirit is very good, so if you ever feel that the Botanical Academy is not suitable for you, come to our Shrek Academy. Mu Jing didn't even think about it, and then said, okay, I'll join now. Okay, then. She didn't give Tang Liu a chance to say more, and turned around and walked off the competition stage. Tang Liu was stunned for 2 seconds because of her decisiveness, and then couldn't help laughing, and also left the competition stage. In this way, Shrek's 6th promotion game also ended smoothly. After Tang Liu returned to the gathering place of the Shrek people, he told everyone about his feelings about the martial spirit of Kixingmei during the battle, and then left with everyone to go back and rest. But what Tang Liu didn't realize was that since he started the game, there has been a special gaze on him, and he also heard all the conversations between him and Mu Jing in the game. So the owner of this gaze began to think wildly. Why does it feel that Mu Jing seems to be interested in Tang Liu? And Tang Liu is also the same, it feels a little different to Mu Jing. Anyway, it is very different from when she faced her, so should she go to make things difficult for Tang Liu? Who made Tang Liu so hateful? The owner of the gaze is naturally Jin Ringsu. To be honest, she really didn't expect Tang Liu to play in the promotion match, so she was a little surprised when she suddenly saw it. Of course, what surprised her even more was Mu Jing's martial spirit and the strength she showed. With the special nature of her martial spirit, if she grows up in the future, she will definitely become a world-famous big man. But how could such a talented soul master be let go by the Spirit Hall and instead be taken in by the Botanical Academy? This was also what puzzled her. So she immediately decided to find out about Mu Jing while she was making trouble for Tang Liu. Tang Liu actually had no other intentions, he just simply liked Mu Jing's spirit and her talent. He still remembered what he said to the master in Soto City, that is, to assemble a team that was not inferior to the Shrek 7 Devils. But after so many years, he still couldn't find the right person. In fact, every time he practiced, he used part of his mind to observe the outside world through the Hyaolin mark, and he was also looking for people with talents that were not inferior to the Shrek 7 Devils. The main focus of the search was in the spirit halls in various places throughout the Douluo continent. After all, there would be spirit awakening and spirit power tests every year. Generally speaking, these two things could roughly determine the talent of a soul master. But I don't know if he was unlucky, and after so long, every discovery was still made. Maybe this has something to do with his requirement of full innate spirit power. After all, the chance of having full innate soul power is actually very low. But he was not discouraged, because he still had plenty of time. In particular, as long as the All-Continent High-Level Soul Master Academy Elite competition was over, he would have more time. And this time, he finally met Mu Jing, who had good talent. Of course, Tang Liu didn't want to give up, so he tried his best first. As for whether it was unkind to poach people from the Botanical Academy? Who cares, just poach them first. Of course, he didn't really think that Mu Jing would really come because of his words, although Mu Jing agreed to him at the end of the game. He thought it was just Mu Jing's casual complaint. But on the morning of the second day, when there was less than an hour left before the start of Shrek Academy's game today, Mu Jing appeared in front of Shrek's tent. The first person to see her was Oscar, who came out to look for food. Classmate, what's the matter with you? Oscar looked at Mu Jing standing there quietly and asked in confusion. Mu Jing said simply and clearly, I'm here to join your Shrek Academy. Oscar, oh, what? Mu Jing glanced at Oscar, but her expression remained unchanged. I'm here to join your Shrek Academy. Oscar was really confused. What happened? Did he get up the wrong way today? But he quickly reacted and said to Mu Jing, come with me first, I'll call our dean to you. After settling Mu Jing first, Oscar quickly went to find Flanders. Before long, almost all the people from Shrek who came to participate in the competition this time came. Seeing so many people suddenly appear in the tent, Mu Jing's expression was a little stiff, but fortunately she still held on. As soon as Flanders came over, he asked, this classmate Mu Jing said, my name is Mu Jing. Flanders, Mu Jing, transferring is not a trivial matter. Are you sure your teacher agrees? Mu Jing answered him calmly, when the Spirit Hall entrusted me to the Botanical Academy, they also told me that I could leave when I wanted to. So I think there is no problem joining Shrek Academy. Of course, I also informed my teacher in advance. If Dean Flanders doesn't believe me, he can go and ask my previous teacher in person. Everyone in Shrek looked at each other, and Flanders looked at the master, who would make the decision. The master said lightly, what's the matter? After the competition is over, can't I go to the Botanical Academy with you? Flanders nodded, then looked at Mu Jing and asked her. Can you tell me why you want to join our academy? Mu Jing, Tang Liu, a student from your academy, asked me to come, so everyone looked at Tang Liu. Tang Liu looked at Mu Jing with a gratified smile. Tell the truth, Mu Jing was silent for a while. Then she said calmly, I just want to find a qualification. Chapter 165 Mu Jing joins. Today, Shrek Academy's opponents were not strong, so the master still arranged the troops according to the order of Daimyo Bei, Tang San, and Tang Liu. Then, Daimyo Bei directly defeated 7 opponents. This was the second time Shrek Academy had defeated 7 opponents since the promotion match. After the game, the master went to the tent of the Botanical Academy with Flanders and communicated with them about Mu Jing. The answer he got was exactly the same as the one given by Mu Jing. According to the teachers of the Botanical Academy, Mu Jing was sent here by the people of the Spirit Hall, and they said that they would let the teachers of their academy take care of her first, and then when Mu Jing wanted to leave, they would let her go directly. The Botanical Academy naturally cherished a student as gifted as Mu Jing, but the dean of their academy was also from the Spirit Hall, and he was even more obedient to the person who sent Mu Jing to the Botanical Academy. So although they were reluctant, the people of the Botanical Academy still let her go. But in the end, he repeatedly reminded the master in Flanders, this girl always speaks directly, and is a little competitive, but she is still a good person with a kind heart. I hope your academy can take good care of her in the future. Flanders smiled and said, don't worry, our Shrek Academy has always treated students very well, and also encourages students to compete with each other. It's just that she is a little competitive, which just happens to be in line with the doctrine of our academy. After the negotiation, the master in Flanders also returned to the tent of Shrek Academy. After summoning all the students, they announced the news that Mu Jing would also be a member of Shrek Academy from now on, and then simply held a welcome party for Mu Jing. At this time, Zuking, who had been waiting for an opportunity, came. The first person to discover him was Tang Liu. When he saw Zuking appear in front of the tent with a smile, he had basically guessed what he was here for. So he wanted to send him away with a psychedelic gaze on the spot. However, Flanders also saw Zuking later, so Tang Liu's idea fell through. Because after Zuking came last time, Flanders guessed his identity as the prince. And now, it happened that Mu Jing had just joined Shrek Academy, so he just asked the prince to arrange an extra barracks for them. Anyway, Flanders greeted him warmly and said, hey, isn't this the disciple of Sect Master Ning? Why did you suddenly come to us? Flanders was definitely a smart person. When Ning Fengzi introduced Zuking to them last time without revealing his identity as the prince, he knew that this prince didn't want his identity to be known. So he didn't point it out now. However, he deliberately looked at Zuking with an extremely respectful look, and bowed slightly, using this respectful gesture to convey a message to Zuking. That is, I already know your identity. After all, It stands to reason that Flanders, who didn't know Zhu Qing's identity as the prince, should be of the same generation as his teacher Ning Fengzi, and he should be the one who bowed and saluted. So Zhu Qing naturally saw Flanders' intentions, and was a little surprised at the moment. However, he remained expressionless and said with a smile, "Hello, Dean Flanders. King came here today mainly to congratulate your school for winning the competition again yesterday, and to come and see the proud students of your school. However, when I came in just now, I seemed to hear that your school accepted a new student today. Speaking of shrewd people, Jin Ringsu, who disguised herself as Zhu Qing and fought in the palace with many princes and ministers for so many years, is one of them." So after Flanders took the initiative to say that his identity had been known to him, he guessed his intention and took the initiative to lead the topic in this direction. Sure enough, after hearing him say this, Flanders said, "That's right. Our Shrek Academy just happened to recruit a new student today, Mu Jing, the owner of the 7-star plum martial soul who fought with Tang Liu yesterday." Zhu Qing showed a little surprise and said, "It turned out to be her. Her performance yesterday was truly amazing, but I didn't expect that she would be accepted by your school so quickly. The 7-star plum is indeed a powerful martial soul." King would like to congratulate Dean Flanders in advance. Flanders laughed, "We at Shrek are lucky. We just happened to meet at Botanical Academy." As he spoke, he brought Zhu Qing into the tent and introduced him to Mu Jing. "Come, Mu Jing, let me introduce you. This is Zhu Qing, the disciple of Ning Fengzi, the leader of the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect." Zhu Qing smiled generously and said, "Hello, Mu Jing. Shrek Academy is an institution with excellent teachers and teaching quality. I believe you have also seen the strength of the students taught by the school in yesterday's competition. You have definitely made an extremely correct choice. I hope you can study hard in this academy in the future." Mu Jing nodded gently and said, "Thank you." Flanders smiled at this time. "Okay, King, you talk to these little monsters first. I have to find someone to help our Shrek Academy arrange another barracks for our new students." Zhu Qing cooperated very well. "Just leave the matter of adding another barracks to me, Dean Flanders. As a disciple of the leader of the 7 Treasures Glazed Tile sect, I still have this face." Flanders pretended to be surprised and said, "Oh, then thank you, King." Zhu Qing said, "It's just a small matter. Dean Flanders, you don't have to be so polite." Then he also took the opportunity to tell the purpose of his visit this time. "Dean, I actually came to talk to Tang Liu about something. I wonder if I can take up some of his time." Flanders smiled and said, "Of course, no problem. He has basically not had any competitions recently and has a lot of time. Xia Liu, come here." The last sentence he said was naturally to Tang Liu. But Tang Liu did not respond to him immediately, but said, "Woo." Zhu Qing's heart was alarmed, and he immediately said loudly, covering up Tang Liu's voice, "Little brother Tang Liu, I have something to ask you. I wonder if I can talk for a moment." Everyone looked at Tang Liu. Tang Liu said slowly, 5 spice peas, brother, I want to eat that, help me get some." Tang San nodded, "Okay." He handed over the plate of 5 spice peas next to him. Tang Liu took it and divided it skillfully. Then he looked at Zhu Qing, "Can't we talk about it here, Zhu Qing?" Zhu Qing spoke again, "These are some more private questions, Tang Liu." Zhu Qing interrupted again loudly, "Of course, it's not impossible to talk about it here. Just kidding, the master is sitting next to him. If Tang Liu says her name, the master will probably guess her identity immediately. By then, can she still survive in the Xiandao Empire? Killing people and destroying their hearts. Tang Liu is still unhurried. 1,000-layer cake, brother, help me take down that one too." Tang San, "Okay, brother." Zhu Qing. Chapter 166 Where does love come from? Everyone in Shrek looked at Tang Liu and Zhu Qing silently. Although they didn't know what they wanted to say, they just felt it was very exciting. Tang Liu divided the 1,000-layer cake as usual, then looked at Zhu Qing and said, "I wonder what Big Brother Zhu wanted to talk to me about." Zhu Qing secretly breathed a sigh of relief, a smile on his face, and said, "I've said before that I really want to see little brother Tang Liu shine in the qualifying round. I didn't expect to have the honor of seeing it yesterday. However, you told me at the beginning that you would not play unless there was an unexpected situation. Did something go wrong when you appeared in the game yesterday?" Tang Liu glanced at him, then turned into a fake smiling boy in a second. "Turns out it's such a small matter. Thank you Big Brother Zhu for your concern. I just happened to see Mu Jing's 7-star plum, and suddenly I felt itchy and wanted to go on stage to compete with her. Zhu King then smiled. I see, that's the case, as long as there are no accidents. However, if there is any trouble that can't be solved, be sure to tell me. Tang Liu nodded, then hinted to him, okay, I will come to you for help after we finish the finals. Zhu King's smile froze in an instant. He is a member of the Spirit Hall. So, he naturally knew that the Pope wanted to use this all-continent Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite competition to reward the 3 soul bones inherited by their Spirit Hall to the current golden generation of the Spirit Hall. Originally, the Pope wanted to give the 3 soul bones directly to the 3 people of the golden generation, but the Elder Hall strongly opposed it, so the Pope changed to such a more tactful way. Of course, the result is still the same. But now there is a dark horse participating in this competition, Shrek Academy. And the dark horse of Shrek Academy also has Tang Liu's pair of top-quality horseshoes. So the Spirit Hall is in a precarious situation this time. There is even no chance of winning. So, what will happen to the Spirit Hall whose soul bones have been robbed? Of course, under the watchful eyes of the public, they will not do anything during the competition. But the people of Shrek Academy will eventually leave the Spirit City and return to Xiandao City. At such a long distance, will the Spirit Hall be indifferent and watch the soul bones being taken away? No, and it will definitely not. This is something that the Spirit Hall absolutely cannot allow. So the Spirit Hall will definitely seize the opportunity to take action. So what should Shrek Academy do at this time? After all, at present, the highest combat power of Shrek Academy is Douluo and the 3 golden iron triangles who can perform the Trinity Spirit Fusion technique. But how can they resist the numerous tidal Douluo of the Spirit Hall? Obviously, they can't stop it. And he just said that sentence, asking Tang Liu to come to him when he encounters troubles that cannot be solved. Then, the assassination of the Spirit Hall is a big trouble, right? So, did he accidentally dig a big hole for himself? And he jumped in without hesitation? Because Zhu King is incapable of solving such a thing. Although he is the prince, the real power of the Xiandao Empire is still in the hands of the current Xiandao Emperor Zhu Yi. So he is not qualified to mobilize the power of the country to help Shrek Academy deal with the Spirit Hall. However, Zhu King can't do it, but Jinriksu can. And as long as she speaks, the Elder Hall will do its best to stop all actions of the Pope Hall. Because Jinriksu is the saint of the Elder Hall of the Spirit Hall, the successor of this angel spirit, and the successor of the next elder of the Elder Hall. She has enough say and power, not to mention that she has a grandfather who dotes on her. But does she really want to do this? Because whether it is from the interests of the Elder Hall or the interests of the Pope Hall, killing these gifted students of Shrek and taking back the spirit bones belonging to the Spirit Hall will always have more advantages than disadvantages. This involves the interests of the entire Spirit Hall. Killing the Shrek students who may cause harm and influence to the hegemony of the Spirit Hall in the future, and letting them grow freely and become a difficult enemy of the Spirit Hall, which of the two should be chosen? I believe it is not difficult to make a choice. But she is Zhu King now, not Jinriksu. So can he say no? She can't. What is going on? Did she come to cause trouble for Tang Liu? Why is she the one who suffers now? Is this Tang Liu her natural nemesis or something? How come he can always suppress her? Jinriksu was thinking in her heart, while trying her best to maintain her facial expression, trying not to let herself scold Tang Liu. She immediately wanted to speak up and agree to Tang Liu as Zhu King. After all, it was Zhu King who agreed to him, not Jinriksu, right? So of course she could choose to regret it. Jinriksu just opened her mouth and saw Tang Liu's eyes. Tang Liu still had a standard fake smile on his face. But his beautiful and enchanting blue-black eyes were as calm as the surface of an ancient well. Deep, clear, and then you can see the bottom at a glance. The deepest part was a mockery, mocking that she still lost in the end. They knew each other very well, that she would never give up the interests of the Spirit Hall. So, you don't dare to agree, right? I have always known. It's not surprising. After all, you are a member of the Spirit Hall. The dull feeling of being pressed down by a mountain at all times appeared in her heart more clearly than ever at this moment. She didn't know what was wrong with her. Obviously, she has always been so excellent, right? Why did she have to fall for this little brat? Born in the Spirit Hall, she has been surrounded by countless lights since she was a child. She has been gifted and smart since she was a child. Naturally, she has her own pride and her own competitive spirit. although this competitive spirit was not very obvious when everyone around her was far inferior to her. But now, after being frustrated by Tang Liu again and again, her competitive spirit was completely aroused. Maybe it was this competitive spirit that was at work, or maybe it was Tang Liu's indifferent attitude after each victory, as if winning against her was just a trivial matter, or maybe it was just that he simply couldn't stand Tang Liu, or maybe it was some other reason. In short, she spoke very seriously. Using Jinring Su, her original identity, she spoke very seriously. Maybe this seriousness was a bit too much? So her voice sounded a bit vicious. This is my promise, you are welcome at any time. At the end, there was a bit of gnashing of teeth. She didn't believe that Tang Liu couldn't hear what she meant. Of course Tang Liu heard it. He was stunned for a few seconds, looking at her in surprise. She looked at him with pride and satisfaction, as if she had finally achieved her wish. He finally smiled helplessly and said, "Then you have to keep your word." She also smiled. Of course, it started with a simple fight. You don't like me, and I don't like you. In fact, in the end, each of us is the one who makes the other happy. Chapter 167 Dragon and Tiger Fight. In the subsequent promotion matches, Shrek Academy continued to advance triumphantly, and each time only 2 people were able to defeat the 7 students sent by the other academy. They have been in a state of complete victory all the way to the 11th day of the promotion match. Their opponents today are still not very difficult, so they still won. Therefore, from the beginning to now, Shrek Academy has won 11 games. In these 11 games, Shrek Academy also encountered the Xianshu Academy, excluding Tang Liu, that caused them a lot of trouble. However, after Ma Hongjin defeated Shui Binger and Zhu Wu, 2 Soul Masters of Xianshu Academy, the remaining games were solved by Daimyo Bei alone. It is enough to prove that the Shrek students have strong individual combat capabilities. When the 12th round of the game began, Shrek Academy encountered a strong opponent again, Thunder Academy. The strength of Thunder Academy is undoubtedly ranked second among the 5 element academies. Their lightning attribute martial spirit not only has the control effect of paralysis, but also has stronger attack power and explosive power than the Blazing Academy, which is all fire attribute. However, when facing this opponent, the Master's deployment of troops still did not allow Shrek to dispatch all its main forces. Even Tang Liu, who defeated Thunder Academy in a 1-on-7 match in the preliminaries, was not included. In the Master's words, it was too much of a waste of talent. In the list of appearances specified by the Master, the first one was Tai Long. Tai Long relied on his defense as a pure power attribute Soul Master to withstand the waves of attacks from the Soul Masters of the Thunder Academy until the opponent's soul power was completely exhausted. And this was also the guidance given to him by the Master, one word, drag. When the opponent's soul power is exhausted, then it is time for him to win. Tai Long also relied on the Master's dragging tactics to win the 2 Soul Masters of Thunder Academy. Then in the 3rd game, after exhausting most of the opponent's soul power, his own soul power was exhausted. He was about to admit defeat and step down, and when Jingling took the stage, he suddenly found that there was suddenly an unknown soul power in his body. He didn't even have time to worry about being confused or surprised. His body instinctively used that soul power to defend itself. So, not long after, the 3rd Soul Master of Thunder Academy was also dragged down by him and exhausted his soul power. It just so happened that the sudden soul power in his body still had a little bit left, which could support him to launch the last attack. So he directly defeated the 3rd Soul Master of Thunder Academy, and then returned to the rest area of Shrek to hand over to Jingling. As soon as he came back, he was praised by everyone in Shrek. Tyrone, you are good, you can beat 3 people in 1 against Thunder Academy. It was just that at the last part, I thought you were going to collapse, but I didn't expect you to be able to hold on and defeat your opponent. Tyrone touched the back of his head and smiled honestly. Actually, I don't know what happened. Suddenly, there was an extra soul power in my body, and it just helped me hold on for the last period of time. Then you are really lucky. Yes, maybe your potential has been stimulated, your soul power may be upgraded recently. Congratulations, maybe. But thank you anyway. Tyrone smiled. On the other side, the Master and Tang Liu were still concentrating on watching the match between Jingling and his opponent below. After hearing what Tai Long and the others said, the Master whispered to Tang Liu beside him, "Xiao Liu, don't do it again next time." Tang Liu smiled. After all, this is their last match, let them have fewer regrets. The Master smiled gently. it is better for soul masters to suffer some setbacks occasionally. If they are smooth sailing, they may harm them at some critical moments in the future. Tang Liu nodded. I know this, so I will grasp the measure. The master, then let's do it. Watch the game. Okay. The battle plan that the master gave Jingling also had only one word, that is, hide. As a spirit master of the agile attack system, Jingling is naturally good at speed. Although the opponent's attack power is stronger than his, the coverage range is not necessarily very wide. And the competition venue is so large, there is plenty of space for Jingling to dodge. Therefore, Jingling only needs to dodge every attack of the opponent until the opponent has exhausted his soul power and then go up to make up the knife. Therefore, Jingling also successfully defeated his first opponent, who was also the last Soul Master of Thunder Academy. Then, the fifth person to play was the Soul Master of Thunder Academy. This Soul Master was Lei Tian, whose martial soul was Thunder Eagle. Although Lei Tian was a strong attacking Soul Master, his martial soul was a flying soul, so his speed was naturally not weak, not to mention that he had one more soul ring than Jingling. In addition, after watching Jingling's game, he also knew Jingling's fighting style, so he chose a large-scale attack soul skill as soon as he came on the stage. After Jingling barely held on for a while, he admitted defeat and stepped down. Then, the third player to play in Shrek was Daimyo Bei, the leader of the Shrek Seven Devils. Although they were both soul masters, Daimyo Bei's evil-eyed white tiger was undoubtedly at a higher level, and he had also taken the fairy product Kirin Tong Xianju, so he easily defeated Lei Tian. After that, it was the second Soul Master of Thunder Academy, Lei Dong, whose martial soul was Thunder Spider. Lei Dong is a controlled type Soul Master. Logically, he should be able to restrain Daimyo Bei. However, according to the tactics given by the Master, Daimyo Bei started his two amplification soul skills at the beginning of the game, the White Tiger Body Barrier and the White Tiger Vajra Transformation. The White Tiger Body Barrier is originally a burst of soul power, and then forms a protective barrier outside the body, which can effectively prevent the conduction of lightning. In addition to the gain and resistance brought by the White Tiger Vajra Transformation, Daimyo Bei broke through the many lightning nets and came directly to Lei Dong. Although the controlled type Soul Master restrains the strong attack type Soul Master, the premise is to open the distance first and not be close to the strong attack type Soul Master. After all, not all controlled type Soul Masters are as good at close combat as Tang San. So after Daimyo Bei got close to him, the game was over. Finally, it was the last student of Thunder Academy, Yu Xiangxin, who was also the last Soul Master of Thunder Academy and the captain of the Thunder Academy team, had the top East Martial Spirit, the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex. In fact, the evil-eyed White Tiger Martial Spirit possessed by Daimyo Bei was also in the category of top East Martial Spirits. But he had experienced a battle with the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex Soul Master a long time ago. That was the battle with Yu Xianheng of the Xiandao Royal Team in Soto City. And in that battle, he was the suppressed party. This may be due to the difference in soul power between the two. But the bigger reason is that compared with dragons, tigers always seem to be slightly suppressed. But now, things are different. Facing Yu Xiangxin, who is also a Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex, Daimyo Bei has the confidence that he will not be suppressed again. Even though he just defeated two Soul Masters of Thunder Academy and consumed a lot of soul power in his body. But he believes that the final victory must belong to him, to Shrek Academy, Small Theater, Daimyo Bei. All this is thanks to the person who can make countless people fall in love with him. Yes, Tang Liu, it's you. I wonder if you are willing to return to the Xingluo Empire with me? At that time, the world will be mine, and I will be yours. Tang Liu, Tang San, Feng Zai Ocean in the game with Shrek tomorrow. Sorry, I grabbed it before you. Tang San silently raised his hammer. I'm old, and my ears are a little bad. Can you please say it again? Thanks to book-friendly Tongming for the 100 book coins reward. Chapter 168 White Tiger Victory. Both parties are calling each other names. The referee's voice spread across the competition stage, clearly falling into the ears of the two people standing on both sides of the field. Shrek Academy, Daimyo Bei, Thunder Academy, Yu Xiangxin. After confirming that both parties were ready, the referee announced loudly, "The game begins." Then the two rushed out like arrows. In the process of rapidly approaching each other, they released their martial spirits almost at the same time. A king character appeared on Daimyo Bei's forehead, and his palms became wider, and sharp tiger claws popped out from between them. Yu Xiangxin's skin was gradually covered with a layer of blue-purple diamond scales starting from his arms. The scales climbed up to part of his right cheek, and then stopped. The same thing was that 4 circles of soul rings, 2 yellow and 2 purple, rose from the soles of the 2 people's feet, and then surrounded them. One of them was blooming with a domineering and fierce golden light, and the other burst out with a terrifying blue-purple electric light. Then, the 2 collided with each other. Golden light and electric light exploded where the fists and palms of the 2 men met, and spread out. But they only separated after they touched each other. Daimyo Bei and Yu Xiangxin, who had retreated a few steps at the same time, rushed towards each other again the next moment. But this time, both sides used their soul skills at the same time. The first soul skill of the evil-eyed white tiger, the white tiger protective barrier. The first soul skill of the blue lightning tyrannosaurus, the thunder dragon claw. The phantom dragon claw condensed by lightning slapped the protective barrier formed by the golden light fiercely, causing ripples. But the barrier still held up, so Daimyo Bei seized this gap and used the tiger palm with a strong wind to slap Yu Xiangxin's chest fiercely. Yu Xiangxin's expression did not change, and he immediately activated his third soul skill, Thunder Fury. An amplification soul skill, and it can make the blue lightning tyrannosaurus soul master in a state of rampage for a period of time. So Yu Xiangxin did not resist at all and took Daimyo Bei's attack. But the master's long-term training was not in vain, so Daimyo Bei immediately activated his third soul skill, White Tiger Vajra Transformation. A 1,000-year soul skill that also has a huge amplification effect. Combined with the white tiger body barrier, Daimyo Bei once again swung his tiger palm towards Yu Xiangxin. This time, the power condensed on the pair of tiger palms made Yu Xiangxin faintly frightened, so he did not dare to neglect it and activated his second soul skill, Thunderbolt. A layer of electric net spread out from his palm, trying to restrict Daimyo Bei's tiger palm to buy himself a moment of evasion time. But at this time, Yu Xiangxin was surprised to find that Daimyo Bei seemed to have known what he was going to do, and released his second soul skill one step earlier than him. A group of dazzling white light spewed out from Daimyo Bei's mouth, directly piercing the newly formed electric net. Although it could not completely destroy it, it still came to Yu Xiangxin's eyes in the blink of an eye. Daimyo Bei actually aimed directly at his face and attacked. In a hurry, Yu Xiangxin had to raise his pair of dragon claws and protect them in front of him, hoping to resist Daimyo Bei's White Tiger Fierce Light Wave. Facts have proved that the White Tiger Fierce Light Wave, after being blessed by the 2 amplification soul skills, is so powerful that it pushed Yu Xiangxin's figure to the back. Fortunately, the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex has strong defense, and he also has the blessing of Thunder Fury, so the White Tiger Fierce Light Wave did not break his defense after all, but he still felt a tingling pain in his palm. But Daimyo Bei's offensive was not over yet. When Yu Xiangxin was still holding on under the White Tiger Fierce Light Wave, he forcibly passed through the electric net formed by the thunder in front of him, and only took 2 steps to come to Yu Xiangxin. Then, the tiger grasped a fist and hit Yu Xiangxin's chest mercilessly. So Yu Xiangxin was directly knocked away by the power of Daimyo Bei's punch and the blessing of the White Tiger Fierce Light Wave. Finally, he fell from the sky, and the White Tiger Fierce Light Wave lost its target and flew straight into the sky. Daimyo Bei then stopped the White Tiger Fierce Light Wave. After Yu Xiangxin landed, he immediately covered his chest and spat out a mouthful of blood. He looked at Daimyo Bei in horror, not understanding why he was so strong. But Daimyo Bei had no intention of explaining to him, and the last circle of purple soul rings on his body lit up. As a white beam of light shot up into the sky, several white tiger meteor showers flew rapidly towards Yu Xiangxin. Yu Xiangxin quickly stood up and hurriedly released his 4th soul skill, Blue Lightning Dragon Speed, to deal with Daimyo Bei's White Tiger Meteor Shower. The Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex transformed by thunder and lightning rushed towards the several White Tiger meteor showers in the sky without hesitation, allowing those powerful meteors to explode on him. But in the end, he still resisted Daimyo Bei's attack. But the White Tiger meteor shower came from the sky, and Yu Xiangxin's Blue Lightning Dragon Speed was also released into the air. This means that within a second or two, there was a defensive gap in front of Yu Xiangxin. Daimyo Bei seized this opportunity, and it was also his chance to end the game. Similarly, it was also an opportunity he had been creating since the beginning of the game. The rich White Tiger Fierce Light Wave spewed out from his mouth again, And this time most of his soul power was concentrated in this attack. The strong beam instantly hit Yu Xiangxin's chest, and then blew him away directly. Yu Xiangxin spit out a mouthful of blood in the air, and the fourth soul skill was also forced to be interrupted. So the blue lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex in the air disappeared. But there were still many white tiger meteor showers, so the remaining meteor showers all fell on Yu Xiangxin's body, and then the shock wave of the explosion once again pushed Yu Xiangxin far away, until he was completely pushed out of the competition stage. Yu Xiangxin, who fell under the competition stage, had already fallen into coma, while Daimyubei was still standing on the competition stage intact. He glanced at everyone in Thunder Academy indifferently, and after the referee announced the victory of the game, he turned around and left the competition stage. From the beginning to the end, the rhythm of this game was firmly controlled by Daimyubei. Every attack during the game was a preparation for the final lore. Now the facts have proved that he was right. So throughout the game, he almost suppressed Yu Xiangxin, who should have been evenly matched with him. In any case, the level of his evil-eyed white tiger martial soul is always one level lower than Yu Xiangxin's blue lightning Tyrannosaurus. Even if his soul power level is 2 levels higher than Yu Xiangxin, this still cannot make up for the innate deficiency of the martial soul. The reason why he won, and won so easily, in addition to mastering the rhythm of the game from the beginning, is also because of the extremely strong resistance to any attribute given by the fairy product Kirin Tong Xianzhu. That's why he was able to withstand Yu Xiangxin's thunderbolt directly, and then launched that crucial attack on Yu Xiangxin, which made Yu Xiangxin quickly fall into a passive situation in the subsequent battles, and finally completely defeated. Before, when playing against the Xiandao royal team, the feeling of being suppressed by Yu Xianheng seemed to have completely dissipated after defeating Yu Xiangxin. Daimyubei smiled slightly at the corners of his lips and returned to the center of the Shrek group. Chapter 169 Tang San, Dai Fengzai Ocean. While everyone was congratulating Daimyubei, the master and Tang Liu were still standing aside. Daimyubei's fighting style shouldn't be like this, Xiao Liu, what did you tell him? The master looked at Daimyubei, who was surrounded by the students, and said to Tang Liu beside him with a smile. Tang Liu also smiled and said, I just said that the current members of Thunder Academy are not able to deal with attacks from multiple directions at the same time, especially when they are in a hurry. Then, Brother Bai reacted by himself. The master continued, indeed, even for titled Douluo, it is sometimes difficult to deal with attacks from different directions at the same time. Your idea is very good. I guess this is also the origin of your use of your Heaolin force field in that way. Tang Liu nodded. Yes, it's a simple 10,000 swords return to the origin. The master smiled lightly. Yours is no longer a simple 10,000 swords return to the origin. With your current mental power, you can accurately control such a large number of Heaolin force fields. Let each Heaolin force field run on its own trajectory, and at the same time let each Heaolin force field fall where you want to attack. This is already the highest level of 10,000 swords return to the origin. Simple 10,000 swords return to the origin, but it's just like Daimyubei's white tiger meteor shower. Obviously, your use of the Heaolin force field is undoubtedly much more advanced than his, Tang Liu said. Actually, I'm not that strong. The master couldn't help laughing and said, You're not strong yet? As far as the whole continent is concerned, you are already invincible among your peers, and you are the undisputed number one at the same level. Xiao Liu, tell me honestly, have you reached the level of Soul Saint? Only the master himself knew. When he said the last sentence, his whole body was trembling slightly. A Soul Saint at the age of 14, unprecedented. This is really unprecedented and will never be repeated. Will he be lucky enough to witness it with his own eyes in this life? Tang Liu answered him sincerely, No, I'm still a Soul King, but I'm already level 58. The master felt a little regretful, but inexplicably relieved. He said, Are you still compressing your soul power? Tang Liu nodded, Yes, the fourth soul power compression is almost completed. The master was still a little surprised. Why is the speed so fast this time? Tang Liu, Oh, that's because my 2 newly acquired external soul bones have improved my physical fitness too much. Master, the 13th round of Shrek Academy was against the Divine Wind Academy. However, what surprised Tang Liu was that Fengzai Ocean still chose to compete with Tang San one-on-one to decide the final outcome of this competition. This shouldn't be the case. Obviously, under his intervention, Fengzai Ocean should have completely given up on Ho Wu. This can be seen in the preliminaries when the Divine Wind Academy did not let the Blazing Fire Academy go. Then, because Tang Liu led Shrek to crush the Blazing Fire Academy in the preliminaries, and there was no series of dog-licking behaviors by Feng Xiaoshan later, the Blazing Fire Academy did not actually bring any personal grudges when it faced Shrek Academy again in the promotion match, especially when Ho Wu and Tang San competed at the end. But Tang San was really close to a 1-on-7 victory that time. So Ho Wu probably wanted to protect the honor of the Blazing Fire Academy, so she burst out and caught Tang San off guard. The final live broadcast was similar to the original work, and the game was still ended by Ho Wu's fusion ring Ho Wu Yaoang. Of course, the Fire Dance Shining Sun didn't fall on anyone in the end, because Tang Liu asked the master to stop the game in time, and then he used the Void Spirit Purification to eliminate the Fire Dance Shining Sun. These things that everyone already knows are no longer mentioned. Anyway, the Blazing Fire Academy still came to thank Tang San, because in the end Tang San really wanted him to resist the Fire Dance Shining Sun and save Ho Wu. However, there was no follow-up, and the students of the two academies continued to do what they should do. Therefore, without the influence of Ho Wu, Feng Xiaoshan still chose to fight Tang San one-on-one, which made Tang Liu feel very confused. However, when the game started, he knew the reason. This reason made some people present look black at the same time. This included Tang Liu. Anyway, the game started. Both sides are named. Feng Xiaoshan smiled and said first, Shen Feng Academy, Feng Xiaoshan, 44th level strong attack system War Soul Sect, Martial Soul, Swift Wind two-headed demon wolf. When he said this, his chest was held high, and the expression on his face was as proud as it could be, as if he wanted to let Tang San across from him know that he was actually very good. Tang San maintained a polite smile, but in fact he was constantly suppressing his eager heart and hands, in case he accidentally took out all this huge divine crossbows in the 24 Bridges moonlit night, and then shot at Feng Xiaoshan with a swish, 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 and shot him into receive. What should I do? The more I thought about it, the more I felt that I couldn't control my hands. No, I had to hold it in. I must hold it in. I must not let Shrek Academy lose its qualification to compete. Yes, that's right, this guy just said that, it must be to irritate me, and then force me to kill him, so that Shrek Academy would lose its qualification to compete in this competition. Yes, it must be like this. I have to say, this is really a good plan. I underestimated Feng Xiaoshan before. It's terrible to be able to think of such a vicious plan, okay? However, I really have to admit that this is a very effective strategy. Humph, I really can't help it. Tang San's forehead was already full of angry veins. He gritted his teeth and laughed. Shrek Academy, Tang San. The referee looked at the two of them separately, but his gaze on Feng Xiaoshan was obviously longer. At the same time, the corners of his mouth twitched, and finally he spoke. The game begins. Feng Xiaoshan spoke quickly. I am really speaking seriously, so please agree to my request. Tang San tried to smile. Get lost. Feng Xiaoshan was selectively deaf, so, I will go all out now, using my self-created soul skill, the Wind Wolf 36 consecutive slashes to defeat you. As soon as the voice fell, he activated his third soul skill and flew into the sky. Then, he swooped down towards Tang San at a high speed. The polite smile on Tang San's face finally couldn't be held back. Beep, don't even think about it. The spiritual impact of the purple demon eye, the blue silver grass's fourth soul skill, the blue silver prison variant soul skill, the blue silver spike, and the blue silver grass's second soul skill, parasitism, were released by Tang San almost at the same time. Therefore, Feng Xiaoshan, who was flying rapidly in the air, suddenly became dazed for a moment, and then several hard thorn-like blue-silver grass quickly emerged from the ground and rushed towards Feng Xiaoshan. At this time, some tiny blue-silver grass seeds also fell from those thorn-like blue-silver grass onto Feng Xiaoshan, and then Feng Xiaoshan was tied up tightly by the suddenly grown blue-silver grass. Seeing that the blue-silver spike was about to pierce Feng Xiaoshan suddenly woke up from his trance and quickly made a series of reactions. Small theater, before the game started. Feng Xiaoshan, brother-in-law, how about we discuss something? Tang San, ? Tang San, pointing at himself, are you calling me? Feng Xiaoshan, nods, actually, I've liked Tang Liu for a long time, so, how about our match today, just you and me, one-on-one? If I win, You have to let me date Tang Liu. If I lose, the Kamikaze Academy will automatically admit defeat. Tang San actually didn't hear the second half of the sentence. Tang San unconsciously touched his 24 bridges moonlight night. Sorry, what did you say just now? Feng Zai Ocean, happily, I said, if I win, you have to agree that I can date Tang Liu. Tang San, ? Tang Liu, ? Tang Hao, ! Dai Mu Bei, incredibly, ! You're actually trying to steal someone from me? Jin Ring Su, ? Tang Liu, no, brother, how can you be so upset? Don't you know that my father, the titled Douluo, is secretly watching the screen in the dark? Feng Zai Ocean, screaming and breaking his voice, Liu, I love you. Tang San, smiling, I can't stand it anymore, I'm going to beat him up. Everyone, as long as you can't beat him to death, please beat him to death. P.S. This is a break when dividing the chapters, so the short drama I wrote always feels a little lacking in heat. Chin on hand. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170 The End of the Promotional Tournament. His second soul ring lit up instantly, and then a strong wind swept around him with a strong cutting force, cutting off all the blue-silver grass around him. The moment he regained his mobility, Feng Zai Ocean vibrated the green wings behind him again, and flew quickly among the blue-silver grass that continued to rise from the ground, and finally came to Tang San. His hands drove the wings behind him, and the wings drove the wind elements around him, and finally with huge power, he slashed at Tang San at the same time. Tang San's hands instantly turned jade-colored, and with the help of the mysterious jade hand and the crane control and dragon capture, he easily took the first blow from Feng Zai Ocean. But Feng Zai Ocean quickly turned in the air, and then hit Tang San again with even more fierce force. Feeling the force that was much stronger than the first blow, Tang San instantly came to his senses. At the same time, the last string of reason in his mind also broke. He pushed Feng Zai Ocean away with a mysterious jade hand and the crane control and dragon capture, and then the extremely condensed dark golden light surged in his left hand, and the next moment, the heavy clear sky hammer was held in his hand. Very good, use the opponent's force to counterattack, right? Are you jealous of my brother? You really dare to think about it. So looking at Feng Zai Ocean who was coming again, Tang San swung his hammer without hesitation. There was a bang on the field, and then Feng Zai Ocean was smashed and flew out. But this guy was quite durable. After stopping his body from flying backwards, he rushed towards Tang San again. It happened that after Tang San's first hammer was thrown, his body jumped up and rotated in the air, and then the second hammer with more power fell on Feng Zai Ocean who was coming. So Feng Zai Ocean flew out again. He flew back again without giving up, and was hit by Tang San's third hammer with more power. In this way, being beaten was a repetitive process. After Tang San's hammer was thrown, his body rotated in the air, and he would take a few steps forward, so the frequency of hitting Feng Zai Ocean became higher and higher. After the 10th hammer was swung, Feng Zai Ocean finally seemed powerless under the overbearing force. So Tang San added some strength, jumped high, and gave Feng Zai Ocean the last blow, knocking him down from the air. Turning his body again, Tang San's last hammer landed directly on the ground of the competition stage next to Feng Zai Ocean. For a moment, smoke and dust rose up, and gravel flew. Amid Feng Zai Ocean's violent coughing, the heavy smoke slowly dispersed. Tang San casually threw the clear sky hammer on the ground, stepped on it with one foot, supported one hand on his bent knee, leaned over slightly, looked down at Feng Zai Ocean lying on the ground, and smiled. Give up. Although he was smiling, his eyes were full of threats. Feng Zai Ocean coughed up a mouthful of blood, and then said with a little difficulty, I lost. I am willing to accept the loss. Everything will be carried out according to our agreement, and the Divine Wind Academy admits defeat. Tang San then restrained the expression on his face and turned to walk under the competition stage. At the same time, the clear sky hammer on the ground also turned into black starlight and dissipated into the air. Supporting half of his body, Feng Zai Ocean kept watching Tang San walk off the competition stage. And then he shouted slyly, although, I will not give up, Tang San. He almost couldn't help turning around and firing his huge divine crossbow at Feng Zai Ocean. Fortunately, Tang Liu teleported him back in time. So Tang San immediately pressed his brother's shoulders and looked at him seriously. Xiao Liu, answer me seriously, you don't like that kind of stuff, right, Tang Liu, he said with a painful face. No, isn't that the point, Tang San stubbornly, you don't like him, right, Tang Liu, it's not a question of whether I like him or not. Besides, I think my sexual orientation is still generally accepted by most people as a male supporting female Tang San. Anyway, you don't like him, right, Tang Liu? Yes, I don't like him. Tang San was relieved with satisfaction. Tang Liu, little witch Ning Rongrong started to tease him with a smile. Xiao Liu, how does it feel to be pursued by someone for the first time? Xiao Wu followed closely. That's right, tell us your feelings and make us happy. Tang Liu, sisters, please be kind and don't mention it. The girls, hehe. In short, the atmosphere on Shrek's side seemed very relaxed because of this little episode. But it was not the case for Emperor Zhu Yi and Platinum Bishop Sarith. After they saw Tang San holding the small black iron hammer in his left hand, their expressions changed drastically. Emperor Zhu Yi was infinitely regretful, because it had been a long time since the direct disciples of the Haoshan sect walked on the mainland. If it weren't for what Prince Zuzing did in the Xiandao Royal Academy before, then their Xiandao Empire would have been able to win over a direct disciple of the Haoshan sect, which was equivalent to winning over part of the support of the Haoshan sect. This is undoubtedly a great thing for the Xiandao Empire. But now everything is in vain. I can only think about whether there is any way to remedy it. As for Saras, he was gloomy, thinking about how to get rid of Tang San. After all, Tang San, who used the clear sky hammer, undoubtedly revealed his identity as the owner of twin martial spirits. And he knew very well what twin martial spirits meant. After all, the current pope was the owner of twin martial spirits. But how could such a talent appear in a pariah? He would not allow it. He wanted to eradicate this heretic for the spirit hall. But at this moment, when Saras was viciously imagining a cruel way to get rid of Tang San, he suddenly felt a gaze falling on him. He looked over and his sight hid a strange blue. The person looking at him was another person who was on his key observation list, like Tang San. Tang Liu. The two of them looked at each other. Then Tang Liu smiled softly. Saras instantly felt a creepy feeling. And he didn't know that the same feeling appeared in a person not long ago. But that person is now dead. In the 14th round of the Shrek Academy promotion match, which was also the last round, the opponents were still not strong. It was Daimyo Bei and Tang San who defeated all 7 opponents and won the victory. Finally, the promotion match was successfully concluded. Shrek also became the only team to win all the games and ranked first in the Xiandao division. After the announcement of the end of the game, Emperor Zhu Yi also commended the participating teams and announced that after 3 days of rest, the 15 participating teams, including the Xiandao Royal Academy team, would be escorted by the Royal Knights to Wuhan City for the finals. At the same time, Xiandao Empire Prince Zhu King will accompany the various academies to Wuhan City as a Xiandao envoy. This may be the only news that surprised Shrek Academy. But in fact, the only ones who were really surprised were those people in Shrek Academy who knew Zhu King's identity. After all, the others were not familiar with Zhu King. Mini Theater, Tang San, brother, tell me, you look down on people like Feng Zai Ocean, right, Tang Liu? Yes, I really do. Daimyo Bei, coming over with a smile, right, Xiao Liu, what do you think of me? Tang Liu, calmly, I'm sorry. You're a good person, Daimyo Bei. Tang San, laughing, Xiao Liu. Then I, Tang Hao, suddenly appeared. Ahem, Tang San, Tang Hao, with the unique possessiveness of an old father. Xiao Liu, you are not allowed to fall in love before you are 20, and you are not allowed to get married before you are 40. Tang Liu, who wants you when you are an old man, and are you sure this sentence shouldn't be said to your non-existent daughter? Tang Hao, the old father's loving smile. Tang Liu, it seems as if he realized something in an instant. Chapter 171 The Spirit Hall Attacks. In short, after 3 days of rest, the representative teams of the 15 colleges set out on the journey to Wuhan City. 3 days ago, the master went to Wuhan Hall alone, and no one knew what he was going to do. However, not long after the representative teams of each college set out, a piece of news quickly reached the ears of Emperor Zhu Yi. The Platinum Bishop of Wuhan Hall, Sarith, was found dead in Wuhan Hall this morning. and his death was extremely miserable. Emperor Zhu was surprised, but more of it was the joy that could not be expressed, so he was furious on the surface. Check for me, the subordinates. Yes, Your Majesty. Tang Liu didn't know anything anyway, and didn't dare to ask anything, so he sat in the exclusive carriage of Shrek Academy with everyone, chatting with them from time to time, but more often he was concentrating on practicing. It took about 20 days to get from Xiandao City to Wuhan City, and on the 10th day, Tang Liu successfully completed the 4th compression of soul power. At the same time, everyone in Shrek also found that when Tang Liu was practicing, they began to practice around him, and the speed was about twice that of their usual practice. So, after Oscar was the first to discover this, the other people in Shrek also tried it with a skeptical attitude. Then it was out of control. So every time he practiced, when part of Tang Liu's mind was wandering outside, he could see all the students surrounding him, practicing with a very happy expression on their faces, which made him feel a little complicated. That night, while everyone was resting, Tang Liu quietly used Haolin to teleport away, and after finding a more secluded place, he began to condense his 6th soul ring of Haolin magic. The soul skills he got in the end also surprised him. So he teleported back without stopping and started practicing again. This time, the soul power increased rapidly at an unprecedented speed. It seemed that he would be able to reach the Soul Saint in the next moment. The night passed in the blink of an eye. The next morning, the large group set out again. But the students of Shrek were not affected at all, and they still practiced on their own. Not long after, everyone broke through the first level of soul power one after another. The current situation of Shrek Academy is, Daimyo Bei is level 46, Oscar is level 43, Tang San is level 44, Mo Hongjin is level 43, Xiao Wu is level 42, Ning Rongrong is level 43, and Zhu Zhuking is level 43. Even the 4 soul masters of the reserve team have reached level 39, which is not far from Soul Sect. This result naturally surprised everyone, and it also means that they are one step closer to the championship. Although the soul power has broken through, everyone just continued to practice with this joy. However, when it was almost noon, Tang Liu, who was the first to wake up from practice, woke up the others who were practicing. Looking at everyone who opened their eyes one by one, Tang Liu didn't say much but just said one sentence. Be alert, the spirit hall is attacking, so everyone became alert, and then got off the carriage and joined the teachers of Shrek Academy. At present, there are only 4 teachers around the students, namely Flanders, Liu Erlong and Zhao Wuji at the Soul Saint level, and Qin Ming at the Soul Emperor level. After the students joined them, they also found that their expressions became very solemn. When asked, they just said stay alert and then nothing more. Soon after, the entire academy team also stopped. The surrounding royal knights looked vigilantly at the top of the cliffs on both sides of the Grand Canyon where they were at this time. At the same time, the Shrek students also spontaneously stood in a formation that could easily deal with any situation. All the students with combat capabilities were outside, and then surrounded the 4 auxiliary spirit masters and the students in the center. At this time, Tang Liu's eyes began to release a faint blue light, and then he turned his head to look at Ning Rongrong next to him and said, Rongrong, add the spirit power amplification to me later. After Ning Rongrong nodded, he looked at Oscar again. Uncle, give me a hot and explosive devil pepper. Oscar's mouth twitched. I don't have those weird things you said. And don't call me uncle, I'm not that old. Although he said so, he still chanted the soul spell and gave Tang Liu a hyperactive pink sausage. Tang Liu took it, chewed it in his mouth, but did not swallow it, so he said vaguely, okay uncle, no problem uncle. Oscar, after swallowing the pink sausage, Tang Liu felt the soul power in his body begin to boil, and began to circulate the soul power in his body. Blue-black light was released from his whole body, and then he lightly touched the ground with his toes, and the whole person floated slightly, about 1 foot above the ground. I don't know which commander of the Royal Knights suddenly shouted, prepare for battle, so after all the soldiers of the Royal Knights simultaneously made battle preparations, countless huge rocks rolled down from the cliffs on both sides of the canyon. At this time, Tang Liu spoke again. Rongrong. Ning Rongrong understood and immediately released his martial soul. 9 treasures turn out to have colored glaze. 9 treasures have a name. The third is soul. The colorful light instantly fell on Tang Liu. Feeling the soul power in his body surge again, Tang Liu immediately raised his hands. The huge Haolan force field covering the entire canyon instantly appeared above the heads of all the academy teams, blocking all the falling rocks. So everyone looked up at this scene in surprise, and then focused their attention on the source of all this. Tang Liu's hands just sank slightly, and then he complained, "It's heavy." The Shrek students around were about to get angry. Tang Liu actually didn't have the energy to do anything else, so he shouted loudly, "Everyone, be careful." As soon as he finished speaking, his figure began to rise, and the huge Haolan force field above everyone's head also rose with it. The transparent Haolan force field just allows everyone to see the terrifying number of boulders it bears. If all these boulders fall down, I'm afraid that just dodging will consume most of the soul masters present, and there will even be some casualties. Not to mention that they will have to deal with possible enemy attacks later. So Tang Liu's blocking for them can be said to have taken the lead for everyone. Although the Haolan force field was rising, it did not let any of the rocks it contained fall. After Tang Liu estimated that the height was about right, he detonated the huge Haolan force field in the air. Then, after a burst of dazzling light, tiny stones fell like raindrops, and at the same time, mist-like dust slowly flew down. Tang Liu quickly landed, and then propped up the Haolan force field above the heads of the Shrek people again to protect them from the impact of the stones. Of course, he did not forget the royal knights around them. After all, it was not easy for them to escort them all the way to Shrek Academy, right? Chapter 172 The melee begins. But the others were not treated so well. They were covered in dust by the small stones and flying dust, but they did not dare to blame Tang Liu. After all, if it were not for Tang Liu, they would not be facing these small stones, but large stones that were dozens of times larger. However, it was still a bit painful when these small stones hit their bodies, so they all looked at Shrek Academy with envy. Meng Yiren, who was protected by the Dragon Man and the Snake Woman, said on the spot, "Grandpa and Grandma, I want to join Shrek Academy." The Dragon Man and the Snake Woman. Then it was Feng Xiaoshan who was covered in dust. "I have decided. I will drop out of school immediately when I go back and join Shrek." I love Shrek, the team members behind him who were also covered in dust. "Captain, do you know that your wolfish ambition has been exposed?" Captain? In short, the students of each academy were in a complicated mood at this time. However, they soon discovered a more important thing to talk about at the moment. Before, a lot of huge stones suddenly fell from above, with a momentum that would not stop until they were all crushed to death, right? It's been so long now. Where are those people who pushed the rocks? The first person to bring up this issue was Tai Long. So Tang Liu immediately encouraged him, "Blind man, you finally found a bright spot, Tai Long. Okay, I know you have already found it. Could it be that the enemies were all suppressed by Xiao Liu's move just now?" Ning Rongrong said. "They won't really dare to come out, right?" Xiao Wu couldn't help but say. Tang Liu curled his lips slightly and said, "It's certain that they were suppressed, but it's only for a while. Now they are probably calling for helpers to support them." Speaking of helpers, Tang Liu suddenly thought that his move just now might lead out Zhu Douluo and Ghost Douluo in advance, and then make Shrek Academy immediately become the target of public criticism. Thinking of this, he immediately said to his companions, "I will hide in the dark to support you, you be careful." The Shrek people who had been together for so long immediately understood what he meant, so they all nodded, and then Tang Liu used the void spirit anonymity on himself, and his figure immediately disappeared from the spot. Not long after he disappeared, countless people in black robes jumped down from the cliffs on both sides of the canyon. Without exception, these black-robed people had at least 3 circles of spirit rings around their bodies. Although they may not all have the best spirit ring ratio, such a large number of spirit masters is also a force that cannot be underestimated. However, the academies that had been prepared immediately launched their own attacks on the enemy spirit masters who were falling in the air. The gorgeous spirit skills were thrown into the air as if they were free, and those enemy spirit masters happened to be in a position in the air that was difficult to dodge or defend, so they fell like dumplings under these attacks. If everything went according to the original work, the spirit masters of the Wuhan Hall who jumped down with the falling rocks would not only not be injured, but also catch the spirit masters who were tired of avoiding the boulders off guard. But now, Tang Liu's Haolan force field changed everything. Without the cover of the boulder, the spirit masters of the spirit hall became live targets. Only those spirit masters with strong strength or suitable defensive spirit skills finally landed. But landing was just the beginning, because soon after, some spirit masters launched attacks on these enemy spirit masters who landed. So far, The ones who took action were basically students from various academies. The teachers of the academies were still waiting for the opportunity to see whether they would go forward to fight after the powerful enemy spirit masters appeared, or to save some students who did not have time to avoid the rare attacks launched by the enemy spirit masters. The attacks of the students of these academies only injured or knocked out the spirit masters of the spirit hall, making them lose their combat effectiveness, rather than killing them directly. So this degree is a bit difficult to grasp, which means that they have to consume more spirit power to achieve this goal. Of course, those spirit masters of the spirit hall who have basically lost their combat ability are still attacked by the Heaven Dao Royal Knights. After all, these soldiers are different from students. Students may still have a fear of killing, but these soldiers do not. What they want to ensure is that the students they escort will not be harmed at all, so the safest way is for them to eliminate all the enemies. Compared with these academies, the atmosphere of Shrek Academy is very different. After the training given to them by the Master in Sylph City, the Shrek 7 Devils no longer have any psychological shadows about destroying the enemy. Moreover, the Spirit Masters of the Spirit Hall obviously came with the intention of killing, so the Shrek 7 Devils did not show any mercy when they started fighting. As for the 3 reserve team members who were going to eliminate Jiangsu, it was a bit difficult. After all, they had not received such training like the Shrek 7 Devils, so their approach was similar to that of the students of other academies. They still beat the enemies to the point that they almost lost their combat ability, and then the Royal Knights around them made the final move. However, they encountered many more dangers than the Shrek 7 Devils, and they were almost injured and even close to death several times. Fortunately, they were helped by the Shrek 7 Devils nearby, and protected by Tang Liu in the dark, so they were in good condition now, but they looked a little scared. What surprised the teachers and students of Shrek was the newly joined Mu Jing. This girl was the most efficient in destroying the enemies among all the Shrek students, and was even much faster than Tang San, who used hidden weapons. Her method was also very simple. When she used her first soul skill, 3000 plum rainfall, all the enemies around her would fall into a state of stiffness and stagnation. After that, she controlled the water elements in the air to condense into ice cones, or just used local materials, using earth spikes and stone cones to pierce the hearts of the enemies who were in a state of stiffness one by one, and all of them were killed in one blow. This move she showed also fully demonstrated her strong control over all her current abilities. Ma Hongjin took advantage of a gap and asked her in surprise, "Have you also received training in this area?" Mu Jing thought for a moment and understood what he was talking about, but her expression and tone were still calm. "The first one was my first time. Now it should be the 19th, 26th time." Ma Hongjin, the teachers who had been staying beside the students waiting for an opportunity, also heard it. Flanders said in surprise, "This little girl has an extraordinary psychological quality." Thinking back to the beginning, those kids wanted to vomit their stomachs. Liu Erlong looked at Mu Jing with some appreciation. "This girl is very good, and has the style of me back then, Zhao Wuji. Don't you think this is a bit abnormal?" Flanders waved his hand. "What's the matter? Anyway, she is also one of our Shrek now, Zhao Wuji." "Well, it makes sense." Qin Ming. Chapter 173. Your Ju Douluo suddenly appears. This battle has been going on for quite a while, but the Spirit Hall's Spirit Masters still seem to be endless, constantly jumping down from the cliffs on both sides of the canyon. Then finally, the students of each academy began to show signs of fatigue, and some of them were unable to do it. It was at this time that some injuries occurred in each academy. So the teachers took action. The teachers with the strength of Soul King or above slaughtered the Spirit Hall Spirit Masters of the highest Soul Sect level without too much ease. But at this time, the Soul King and Soul Emperor level combat power among the Spirit Hall Spirit Masters also appeared. The appearance of high-end combat power caught these academy teachers off guard. But thinking that behind them were the students they had to protect, the teachers had to grit their teeth and persevere. In comparison, the situation on the Shrek Academy side was undoubtedly much better. The 7 Devils had already taken out the hidden weapons forged by Tang San for them. It was undoubtedly much easier and more efficient to use these tools that did not consume soul power and were powerful enough to destroy the enemy. After seeing the Shrek 7 Devils take out these hidden weapons, the 3 members of the reserve team tacitly stopped attacking actively, but stood guard to the side, defending the 7 Devils from the attacks of the enemies that they had no time to defend. Mu Jing was still actively attacking the enemy, but the frequency was much lower than before, and more often she was helping the Shrek people to defend. Whether it was the water curtain or the earth wall, it was a barrier that was difficult to break for these enemies, and for the Shrek 7 devils, it provided them with a good output position, allowing them to kill the enemy more efficiently. Then, it was probably because they noticed the abnormal killing speed of Shrek Academy compared with other academies, so most of their Soul King and Soul Emperor level Soul Masters came over here. At this level, unless those Soul Masters did not actively use soul power for defense, it would be difficult for hidden weapons to break their defense. So Shrek's teacher took action at this time. The 3 Soul Saints plus a Soul Emperor, the lethality caused was undoubtedly extremely huge. Especially when there was Liu Erlong, known as the Horn of Killing, among the 3 Soul Saints. Anyway, the students of Shrek watched Liu Erlong open his spirit body as soon as he came up, and then quickly jumped towards the enemies. So all the enemies were burned to ashes under the red dragon's flames. All the students, Mu Jing looked at the flying fire dragon in the air as if she saw an idol, with a pair of sparkling eyes. In short, under Liu Erlong's unconventional play, the spirit masters of the spirit hall surrounding Shrek and the 2 surrounding academies all fell down. For a time, a vacuum zone was formed that the enemies had no time to replenish. However, as an eagle cry sounded in the canyon, the Soul Douluo with the spirit of the Golden Eagle also opened his spirit body and rushed towards Liu Erlong. Then he hit an extremely sharp Haolan force field halfway. If he hadn't turned his head in time, otherwise at his speed just now, the Haolan force field that suddenly appeared would not only pass through his shoulders. Instead, it would directly pass through his head. The Golden Eagle Soul Douluo was shocked and angry, and just wanted to pull out the Haolan force field on his shoulder. But at the moment when he was in the spirit body state, he had no hands and could only use his mouth, just touch the Haolan force field, the Haolan force field that pierced his shoulder, that is, the connection between the wings and the body in the spirit body state, immediately exploded. The power of the explosion in his body should not be underestimated, and he suffered a serious injury. But after all, he was a Soul Douluo, and he could still fight with gritted teeth. He immediately shouted, Who shot a cold arrow in the dark? Come out if you have the guts." Then he heard a voice coming from his back. "Sorry, there are only those species at present, not that species." The tone was full of bad taste. Before the Golden Eagle Soul Douluo could react, the Golden Eagle Soul Douluo suddenly felt a huge force coming from behind, and then directly pressed his spirit body down from the air, and finally slammed heavily on the ground. No matter how he flapped his wings, he could not get rid of the huge force. Then when he was on the ground, he was also pressed to the ground by the huge force and could not move. So, he had no choice but to release his spirit body. But this also meant that he had to bear the side effects of his spirit body. So, was his spirit body just for nothing? After changing back to human form, the Golden Eagle Soul Douluo felt that he had regained his ability to move. So after standing up, he immediately looked behind him and decided to teach the person who attacked him a lesson. But he saw nothing. Golden Eagle Soul Douluo, where's the person? He was so angry that he was jumping up and down, but another person was staring at him at this time. That person was undoubtedly Liu Erlong. Liu Erlong was still in the state of spirit body, which had a huge increase in himself. The Golden Eagle Soul Douluo had already released his spirit body and had to fall into a weak state with reduced combat power. So, even if he had the cultivation of Soul Douluo, Liu Erlong and him were evenly matched at this moment. So the Golden Eagle Soul Douluo was grabbed by Liu Erlong and rushed directly into the sky, and then beaten violently in the air, and served with a deluxe non-stop version of Dragon Flame. Now I didn't think about anything in my mind. I just felt that the Golden Eagle Soul Douluo was beaten up and looked like a human being. After a long time, I still couldn't find the opportunity to fight back, so I could only take the beating honestly, and finally had to shout incoherently, "To adults, save me." When Liu Erlong heard it, he thought how could it be possible, so he beat him even harder. "How dare you call for off-site support, Golden Eagle Soul Douluo?" Fortunately, his call for help was still effective, and a huge strange chrysanthemum suddenly appeared in the sky. With a flash of light, Liu Erlong was directly repelled 100 meters, and then was forced to release the martial soul true body. Then, a man in a white robe and a white veil appeared in the sky and saved the abused Golden Eagle Soul Douluo. It was the Pope's left arm, Chrysanthemum Douluo, Yuguan. The rescued Golden Eagle Soul Douluo had never felt that his sissy master was so handsome, and he was so moved that he vomited blood. "My lord, you just hit me too, Yuguan," Liu Erlong, whose martial soul body was interrupted in the distance, wiped the blood from the corner of her lips at this time, and then her seventh soul ring lit up again. She smiled domineeringly, and her figure turned into a fire dragon and soared into the sky again. The first 6 soul rings flashed in succession, and quickly rushed towards Douluo in the sky. Douluo raised his eyebrows slightly, then curled his orchid fingers to pinch the stem of his martial soul, the Kirin Tongshan chrysanthemum, and raised it to his chest, and then said, "You are willing to overdraw your soul power and vitality to activate your martial soul body again, and you want to fight with me? How dare you, a small soul saint?" Chapter 174, Douluo, you have changed, old poisoner. The voice of Liu Erlong came from the mouth of the red dragon. "Stop talking nonsense, sissy, and fight me," Douluo said coquettishly. "Who are you calling a sissy, Liu Erlong? Speak nicely to me," Douluo said coquettishly. "Okay, in that case, I will grant you your wish." The 6th soul ring on his body lit up. 6th soul skill, golden stamens and flowing clouds. But the next moment, Yu Guan snorted in the style of Douluo. "Huh? What's going on?" Because the soul skill he just released disappeared out of thin air. But Liu Erlong did not stop because of this, but came directly in front of him because of this. So he had to use soul power to resist directly. A violent explosion occurred in the air. Liu Erlong's figure flew out again, and the state of the martial soul's true body was interrupted again. Soul Saint is still far behind the title Douluo. But Yu Guan was still injured by that blow, so he was angry again in the style of chrysanthemum Douluo. "How dare a little soul saint hurt me? You're courting death." He rushed towards the falling Liu Erlong at a rapid speed. But the next moment, he flew in another direction, not forgetting to let out a chrysanthemum Douluo-style snort. "Ha ha ha, Zhuhuagwen, let me meet you first." Upon hearing the voice, Douluo recognized who it was. He turned around angrily and looked at the man who appeared in the air without any warning, then shouted in a Douluo style, "Douluo, it's you again, you old poisonous creature." Douluo laughed. "Zhuhuagwen, you're not dead yet. How could I die?" Douluo was furious. "Don't call me Zhuhuagwen." Douluo was even happier. "Zhuhuagwen, Zhuhuagwen, Zhuhuagwen, the more you dislike me, the more I have to call you that." Douluo shouted, "Old poisonous creature, don't think you can challenge me now that you have broken through to level 93. There is still a gap of 2 levels between us. As a title Douluo as well, I think you should know why this is." Douluo didn't bite. "Oh, then which guy was beaten and fled by me last time?" Douluo was furious again. "That was because you, a despicable guy, used external objects to cheat." Douluo, "Oh, then let me ask you, is that external object mine? So what? Since you agree that it's mine, then what's wrong with me using it? Isn't it also part of my own strength? How can it be called an external object? Besides, we didn't set any rules before, so where is the cheating? I just used all the means I could reasonably use to defeat you." Douluo spread his hands, tilted his head, and didn't recognize anyone. Say, Douluo, he had never seen such a talkative person in his life. Yu Guan couldn't stand this kind of grievance. Douluo gritted his teeth. You are being unreasonable, Douluo. So what if I am being unreasonable? Come and hit me, come on. Douluo gritted his teeth again. I have never heard such a shameless request. Douluo laughed even more happily. I can't help it. Who made me like to see your helpless face? And I just want to disgust you. What's wrong with disgusting you, Zhuhuagwen? Douluo was furious. Old poisonous thing. Die, Douluo said. Take my move first. The 6th soul rings of the 2 people lit up at the same time, and the next moment, Douluo's golden core floating clouds collided with Douluo's 6th soul skill. The soul skills collided, and the strong light produced by the explosion made Douluo stop for a while. But the next moment, he found that Douluo actually used the martial soul true body directly, and then a 9th soul skill was thrown at him. This attack was released by Douluo almost the next second after the explosion. So, caught off guard, Douluo had to take the attack and was seriously injured. After retreating a long way, Douluo looked at Douluo's martial soul body in disbelief and said, Douluo, are you crazy? You used desperate moves right at the beginning. The huge green phosphorus snake looked at him with disdain. Is this called a desperate move? Zhuhuagwen, do you have any misunderstanding about desperate? Douluo was enraged again. Fuck me. So he immediately used his martial soul body and his 9th soul skill, and quickly attacked Douluo. Old poison, since you want to play like this, Then I will accompany you and see who dies first. Douluo smiled. I can still come many more times, but I don't know if you can do it. As soon as the voice fell, the ninth soul ring on his body also lit up again. However, when the two ninth soul skills were about to collide, Douluo was shocked to find that his ninth soul skill suddenly disappeared again. So he took Douluo's ninth soul skill again. Douluo retreated violently. After two consecutive ninth soul skills, Douluo also seemed to be temporarily exhausted, so Douluo took the opportunity to taunt him. What's up, old poison, can't hold on? If it happens again, I'm afraid you can't even maintain your martial soul body, right? Douluo's response to him was also very simple, that is, he gave him another ninth soul skill. Douluo was horrified. Douluo, do you really want to fight me to the death? While scolding Douluo, he tried his best to avoid Douluo's ninth soul skill. Douluo did break away from the state of martial soul body, but he just smiled faintly, and then his figure disappeared in a blue light. Almost at the same time, the huge green phosphorus snake king appeared behind Douluo again, and then, another ninth soul skill was used, and the next moment it fell on Douluo. Douluo only had time to spit out two words, what? Then he was hit by Douluo's ninth soul skill. Then, the ninth soul skill that he had not dodged before also fell on him. Being hit by two ninth soul skills almost at the same time, Douluo completely lost his ability to fight at that moment. But after the soul power in his body told him to operate defense, he still managed to survive, and finally ended up in a state of serious injury. He fell from the air and hit the ground heavily, smashing a huge pit on the ground. Douluo also released his martial soul true body, slowly fell to the ground, and looked down at Douluo lying at the bottom of the pit. Douluo still looked at him in disbelief, and asked with difficulty, why can you do this? Douluo responded to him indifferently, you mean, why are you not affected by the side effects of the martial soul avatar when you use the ninth soul skill in martial soul avatar so frequently? Right, Douluo nodded again with difficulty. After 3 seconds of silence, Douluo suddenly laughed in an indecent way, because I have an off-field assistant and you don't, Lululu. Douluo spat out a mouthful of old blood, and then fainted from anger. Small, water, theater, Douluo, old poison, you have changed, you were not so jumpy, Jian, before. Douluo, it's not my fault. It's all written like this by that poo guy author, my hand slipped. Chapter 175 Douluo, Ghost Douluo, you have changed. Douluo was still laughing at others even though he was fainted, and soon, Tang Liu appeared beside him. Tang Liu looked at him helplessly, is the hatred between you two so deep? It seems that you will go up and stab him twice more even if he dies. Douluo stopped laughing, and then said with some melancholy, it's just an old story, a grudge from the past. Tang Liu asked him again, if you have the chance in the future, will you choose to kill him? After all, with my help, you are about to break through to level 94. I said I would give you a chance to reach level 99, and I will definitely do it, Douluo said, maybe. Actually, I'm not sure. Then Tang Liu's face suddenly turned cold, then you'd better not kill him. Douluo looked at him puzzled. Because he is mine. Tang Liu waved his hand lightly, and a small piece of hail and force field flew out, piercing into the body of the unconscious Douluo on the ground like a needle. Then, the hail and mark carried on it was successfully marked on Douluo. Not only him, but also that ghost Douluo, he is mine too. Douluo asked, why, do you have any grudge against them? Tang Liu said indifferently, nothing, just because they volunteered to be running dogs for others. Douluo was puzzled, just because of this, of course not. It was because they were willing to be running dogs and accomplices. Tang Liu didn't explain too much to Douluo, he just said, be careful of ghost Douluo, he should be here soon, and he is coming for me. Be careful. I have already used my last unlimited hail in recovery for you today. If I use it again, it will consume a lot of soul power, which is not good for me. Douluo nodded, don't worry, as long as I can still use my martial soul body, I can at least protect all of you from that old ghost. Tang Liu looked at him, he is a titled Douluo of the agility attack system, can you keep up with his speed? It doesn't matter if I can keep up or not, just defend you well? Tang Liu nodded lightly, oh, then he's here. You can do whatever you want. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure disappeared in a blue light. Douluo was stunned for a moment, what? But the next moment, a black shadow came to his side. Just when Tang Liu just left. The black shadow failed to catch Tang Liu, so it changed its target of attack to Douluo next to him. With a simple palm strike, Douluo retreated dozens of steps before he stabilized his body. He recovered his breath, looked up at the shadow, and said in a deep voice, "Old ghost, you are late." The shadow turned out to be a man covered in a black robe, and he was wearing a mask covering his face. It was Ghost Douluo. "Ghost?" Looking at Douluo, a sinister voice came out from under the mask. "Douluo, I didn't expect that you have grown to such a level after not seeing you for so long, and even defeated the Chrysanthemum Pass. How come the toxins in your body are eliminated?" Douluo smiled and said, "I just happened to meet a few gifted little monsters who helped me solve this big problem." Ghost Douluo smiled sinisterly and said, "Let me guess, the little monsters you are talking about are actually Tang San and Tang Liu, right? That's really unfortunate. The order we received this time is to kill them." Douluo shook his head and said, "It's too early for you to talk. It's still an unknown whether you can kill those little monsters. Moreover, you guessed wrong. It wasn't Tang San and Tang Liu who helped me solve the toxins in my body. Obviously, there was only Tang San, so the guess about Tang San and Tang Liu was wrong." "Well, is there anything wrong with what he said?" The ghost still smiled sinisterly. "You said I can't kill those little guys? Haha, I really didn't expect that you have so much confidence in those little guys," Douluo said sincerely. "I'm just being realistic. Besides, are you sure you know Tang San and Tang Liu well enough? I guess you already know that Tang San has a clear sky hammer spirit, right? You know that he and Tang Liu are both from the Clear Sky sect, so do you know where Tang San's clear sky hammer came from? Who is Tang San and Tang Liu's biological father?" Ghost Douluo didn't speak and remained silent for a long time. Douluo smiled. "That person is the one who disfigured you." Before Douluo could give the answer, Ghost Douluo said it himself. He gritted his teeth, his tone containing anger that was difficult to conceal, as well as fear and dread. "Tang Hao, Douluo." "Yes, it's Haoshan Douluo. Are you afraid?" Ghost Douluo said gloomily. "He's not here anyway. Even if I kill his two sons now, what can he do to me? Besides, I don't believe he dares to break into my Pope's palace alone." Then he laughed a little crazily. "Compared like this, I killed his two sons, and he can only be immersed in the grief of losing his sons all day long. And I will watch him sad, watch him go crazy, even if I am destined to be killed by him in the end. So what? Anyway, killing his children is also revenge for my disfigurement." Douluo looked at him solemnly. "You are crazy, Ghost." Ghost Douluo smiled and said, "So what if he's crazy? The world is not normal. But that has nothing to do with me. I just want to see Tang Hao's grief and despair. I just don't know how he will react when he finds out that his two children are dead. What kind of expression will he have? Will he have the same expression as before, when he lost his wife a long time ago? Or will he be even more desperate than that?" He looked at Douluo, and the shadow cast by the hood on his mask made him look a little unpredictable. "I can't wait any longer." As soon as he finished speaking, he turned into a residual image and quickly disappeared in front of Douluo. Of course, before leaving, he did not forget to take Zhu Douluo, who was lying unconscious next to him. Douluo secretly said that it was not good, and then his figure flew up quickly, and then flew towards the direction of Shrek Academy at the fastest speed he could reach. Shrek Academy was still the same as before. Everyone cooperated very well and could easily deal with the enemies that kept coming up. Moreover, although the local Soul Kings and Soul Masters were dispatched, with the cooperation of several teachers, it was still difficult for them to pose a threat to the students. Occasionally, they missed one, which was also intentional. Then the Shrek students would play a seamless cooperation and kill the Soul Kings who broke through the teacher's defense line. Once, they even killed a Soul Emperor. In short, if there were no accidents, Shrek Academy would keep this rhythm until the end, either completely eliminating the enemy or the enemy retreated. But sometimes accidents come so suddenly. Small theater, Douluo, solemnly. "Old ghost, you weren't so crazy before." Ghost Douluo, laughing wildly. "Ha ha ha. What does this have to do with me? It's all the fault of that Puget author. I didn't want it to be like this either." "Ha ha ha." Author, muttering, "It's not my fault. I was just writing and it became like this." Ghost Douluo, "Ha ha ha. Isn't it good to just follow the original characters and write in a proper manner? Do you have to add some of this kind of second-year settings? Ha ha ha. Haven't you passed your second-year period yet?" Author, he silently opened his writer's assistant. Later, Ghost Douluo walked into Zhu Douluo's room, The main film begins. Ghost Douluo, affectionately, Zioju, here I come. Ju Douluo, snorted and stroked Ghost Douluo's chest. Damn Ghost, it's been such a long time since you came to see me. Fill in the blanks with your own imagination or the post will be blocked. Daimyu Bei, ha ha ha, that's great. Author, let's discuss something. Write a paragraph for Zia Liu and me as well. Author Jun, indifferent, no, I will lock the article. Tang Liu. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.